Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3.
79-52 Vanderbilt.
I think he's going to coach
Shot by Cheryl.
You're going to see more moves. The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff. You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios today on a Wednesday. Ian is here today. Hello, Ian.
What up, what up?
So we're not going to do 4 hours of yelling and screaming about the Titans today because I'm not sure I can do 4 hours of yelling and screaming about the Titans. So we're going to start on last night's Predators loss, which was a horrendous loss for the Predators. I mean, look, I'm not too mad about it because, as I have stated, I am in full-on embrace the tank mode. Like, I am fine with being terrible this season. It's what we signed up for. We said rebuild. We said tear it down. We said get the young players in, get the crap players out, bring in the new culture, bring in the new coach. Barry Trotz, do your thing. By the way, Barry will join us today at 5:37. So be listening for that. And we're going to talk to Barry about this. Because I'm okay with losing this year. I said that. After the first couple of games, I got excited thinking that this team had the guts and the chutzpah and that they would have the charisma along with, decent play out of guys that we expected from, right? Like Yossi and O'Reilly and Forsberg and Soros. And so they should be competitive in every game. And Soros should win them X amount of games himself. And then, they'll have some games, some clunkers out there, but they'll really be working the young kids in, and it'll kind of be, cream rises to the top. Tommy Novak, you're good. You're an NHL player. You're in. Philip Tomasino, you might not be. So I knew what we signed up for when we started the season. I'm okay with that. But last night's loss, coupled with Saturday's loss against Arizona, were downright atrocious. If you were somebody unlike me who was not ready to embrace the bottom of the league, who was not ready to go forward with the tank, who was not going to sit here and look at lottery odds and things like that, if you were not willing to give up on the playoffs right now, and again, I'm not going to completely say there's no chance of making the playoffs, but it doesn't feel very good. Even you have to look at the last two games, specifically last night, since it's the one that happened yesterday, and think, wow, that's bad. Last night, the Predators had, again, a 2-goal lead. The curse of the 2-goal lead. I have never seen a team that in a 2-week period has blown so many 2-goal leads. They blew two 2-goal leads on Saturday. They blew the 2-0 lead last night. But not only did they blow the lead, it's like everything all tied together, right? I thought after the road trip they had, and I have tried to be optimistic about this season. Now, look, I'm still optimistic about the future of the franchise, and I am still optimistic about where the Predators are headed from here. And I feel like I'm self-aware enough to know that I was banging the drum to get a new GM in here and banging the drum to get a new coach in here, and I knew that it meant taking lumps. So I'm not going to tell you that this isn't part of the deal. But I thought, hey, I was optimistic about how they'd look on the road trip. Like, let's see how this goes. Let's see if this is where they really come together. Let's see if they can maybe, grit their way out of there, 3-2 or 2-1 or something like that. Then it goes right down the toilet. They lose the first two. They beat Edmonton, who they never beat, which then got me feeling pretty good about, again, the gumption of the squad. And then they blew it in the last two games of the road trip. So 1-4-0, not very good. Then they come home, and they're playing Arizona. And Arizona is traditionally not very good. And Arizona again, playing here, playing a hungry Predators team that is desperate for a win, that's finally back on home ice, and the Predators get off 2 Predators. But it wasn't. Then last night, they came out and attacked the net. I mean, they had a power play early. They were putting shots on John Gibson, who is a league average goaltender. I was floored yesterday when I found out he's been to 3 All-Star games. But they were just going right after the net last night, and they didn't score in the first period, and I thought, uh-oh. When you play with that kind of energy in a game where the team is really feeling it, where the team is really hungry for a win, and you don't pot one home, you're probably in trouble. And then immediately they come out in the second period. Forsberg scores. Yossi scores. They're up 2-0. I'm like, okay. They're up 2-0. Saros in the second period now we'll get to the end of the second period, but Saros had actually played pretty well. Now, he wasn't facing a bunch of shots, but, I mean, he had some tough saves to make, and he made them. And then it just all went down the drain, including, and I would say highlighted by, the goalie. Now, I've been one to sit here and say he's a slow starter, but as somebody pointed out yesterday on Twitter to me, dude, it's Thanksgiving. It's not the start anymore. We've been playing hockey for a month. But, I mean, that goal that he let in last night from Cam Fowler, that was a warm-up shot. He is turned right to the left. Fowler is lined up probably, 20 feet away from the goal? Ian, what would you say Cam Fowler was? 20 feet from the goal? 10 feet, 15 feet from the goal?
Yeah, sounds about right, 15.
I mean, he's looking right at him. He's looking right at him. This is a defenseman. Cam Fowler's a good player, but, again, he's not Ovechkin. And he's looking right at him. That should be a glove save and either drop it out or just let it go and, bring on the next unit. And it goes in the net. I'm like, that's the kind of goal that gets a guy sent to Milwaukee that was so bad. Then they have one again, the second goal, and again, it was kind of a breakaway-ish, but he's staring right at it. Make the save. Now, the third goal is a little tricky. But, dude, and that was O'Reilly's fault and Carrier's fault more so than it was Saros. And, again, Ryan O'Reilly with a just horrendous job of trying to get that puck out of the zone, and it just sets up Anaheim for the game winner. And it was just so incredibly disheartening, even for a team that we know probably isn't very good. Maybe we were a little optimistic that they could pique our interest for the season, that they could get us excited. But that loss last night was horrible. On so many levels, right? There's the one level of, hey, man, you have got to get a victory. You have been slumping. You're in last place. U.S. Thanksgiving is coming up. Even for a team that we know is going to take its lumps this year, but a team that maybe can get hot down the stretch and keep everybody, together in the group and not make it feel like a lost season come Christmas, this is one that you got to have. And you didn't get it. And then it's bad on the level that Anaheim held back their 2 best players. Their 2 best players didn't even play last night, including the Carlson kid, who is their entire franchise. Then there's the fact that you got a goal from Forsberg. You got a goal from Yossi. You completely outshot them in the first period. I mean, you outplayed them for most of the game, and you still lost. And then you lost again? And then there's the other part of it that is, if this team's going to be any good anytime soon, that goalie's going to have to play well. And that goalie, again, he is a slow starter, and that has been the book on him for forever, that he is not a very good October, November goalie, and that then all of a sudden, about midway through the year, he becomes unstoppable. But, this guy was going to have to carry this team to victory this year. And not only is he not carrying them to victory, he's getting them beat. I am convinced those 2 goals he let in to begin the game, the first 2 he let in last night, a minor league goalie could have stopped those. Connor Ingram, who you lost to on Saturday, could have stopped those. Now, I don't think much of the defense around here. But, I mean, goodness gracious. So I'm not, pointing fingers and sitting here, and I'm not mad about it, if that makes any sense, because I do think we're in the honeymoon phase with this new era of Predators hockey. And again, we all know that it's going to take some time to take the steps back, and this is the stuff David Poile didn't want to do. So we all have to understand that this is what we signed up for. But man, last night's loss was bad. I guess maybe I was just too optimistic. I was too hopeful coming into the season that while this team wasn't going to compete for a Stanley Cup, or this team wasn't going to, give us the hope that they were going to be playing at that kind of level, come April, and maybe we'd have some May hockey. I didn't think we'd have any of that. But I did think, it would be fun if in February and March we're talking about a team that potentially has a shot of making the playoffs, and then come April they give us a good series, maybe 6 games, or find a way to squeak one out, and get to the second round, real gritty hockey with good goaltending and some young guys that pop a little bit. I thought that was a possibility. And now I don't think, after the last 2 nights, I don't think anything but embrace the tank is a real possibility at this point for this year. So, again, it's the honeymoon phase. It's to be somewhat expected. But I wasn't expecting on November 15th to be looking at it and saying, well, I guess we'll just have to see how the young guys develop for next year. But that is, in fact, where we are. 615-737-1025 is our phone number if you want to weigh in, 615-737-1025. And I will say, I kept saying embrace the tank. And I haven't really felt anybody else that is ready to, stick their sword into the ground or their flag into the ground and say, yes, embrace the tank. But there's a reason why I'm willing to do it, why I feel okay doing it. We'll get to that coming up next. If you got a Preds thought, get it in, 615-737-1025, Stillman and Company here on today's show. And a reminder that speaking of the Preds, do not miss. This says tomorrow night. Is this tomorrow night or is this tonight? Smashville Live.
It's tonight.
Okay. It says tonight. I'm sorry. I don't know why I said it said tomorrow. It says tonight. Preds fans, don't miss tonight's Smashville Live show at Brew House 100 in Bellevue at 6 o'clock. See UC Soros and Kevin Lankinen up close and personal and get autographs and pictures. And Smashville Live is brought to you by the Black Abbey Brewing Company.
When you want all the...
Going in and the score. Blast the score. He wrists one, they score.
And don't forget the...
Oh, what a stop. Sliding across to make the save. Backhander, nice stop.
When all you want is... Smashville. We have you covered. Hear every Predators game. Right here. We are your home for Smashville. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And the Game Nashville app.
Predators fans, Brewhouse South in Cool Springs, Brewhouse Highway 100 in Bellevue, and Brewhouse West on Charlotte Avenue is your home for hockey action all season long. They are Predators approved and all the games are on, and they'll even give you the sound. Get awesome game day drink specials on Blue Note Bourbon and Black Abbey Beer. When you think hockey, think Brewhouse South in Cool Springs, Brewhouse Highway 100 in Bellevue, or Brewhouse West on Charlotte Avenue. Go Preds!
Attention all fire protection, commercial plumbing, and HVAC experts. Jarrett Companies are looking for experienced field technicians like you. Tired of working for your large corporate employer? Work for a company where you're more than just a number. Jarrett's Fire Protection, commercial plumbing, and HVAC divisions are owned and operated by Nashville natives who want you to grow with their amazing team.
Hi, I'm Jason Jarrett, owner of Jarrett Companies. I'm looking to hire experienced experts and will offer a sign-on bonus of up to $5,000 for certified professionals. In addition to our great benefits that include a 401k match, PTO, and top pay with annual bonuses, we'll also provide you with top-of-the-line tools, trucks, and equipment that you need to grow your career. Our customer base is large and our business is booming with many opportunities for advancement. Give us a call or go online to JarrettCompaniesInc.com and apply today to become a member of our family and protect our community. That's JARRETT CompaniesInc.com. Jarrett Companies, where we are above and beyond industry standards.
At Mercedes-Benz of Music City,
A healthy and productive culture takes a day-to-day discipline. Here's Sam Cavett, General Manager, with a few thoughts.
Mercedes-Benz has its standard, and we have Dream Motor Group standards. They're definitely on the same level, but I feel like we challenge ourselves at least as much as Mercedes-Benz challenges us. It's a genuine motivation to take care of customers, and we see it in the customer reviews.
Live the dream at Mercedes-Benz of Music City, mbofmc.com.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. So minivans, sedans, JDMs, roll out. Go ahead, feel your engine. Admire that perfectly installed exhaust. Your vehicle's moving along this freeway like it was made from fresh installs and a whole lot of love. And with eBay Motors, you get over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Whether you drink it neat, in a cocktail, or like our boys at Bridgestone, on ice, Blue Note Bourbon hits all the right notes. From the ever-popular Blue Note Juke Joint to our fabled Blue Note Crossroads. It doesn't matter if you're watching the Preds at a bar or just hanging at home. Our double gold medal winning, hand-bottled, straight bourbon whiskey always sounds like a good time is about to be had. Blue Note Bourbon. Take note. Sip responsibly.
Tap that app. Download the Game Nashville app on your smartphone so you can listen to Stillman & Company on the go.
This is Stillman & Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
In the corner, off to the right side of Saros. Gudis gives over. Manakainen, the shot to score! Anaheim comes back to take a 3-2 lead with 3:51 remaining on the scoreboard clock.
Well, I think some mental guess, and understanding where we are at the game, and certain times, last 5 minutes of the second period, kind of the wrong side of things. We're kind of lost our responsibilities. And right now everything goes in back of the net. So it's a little bit of funks, it's a little bit of redundancy here every day. Pretty much talking about the same thing. Feel good about our game, but there's these lapses in our mental preparation or our mental focus in key moments. And it caught us again tonight.
Well, that is Andrew Burnett. You're not going to win a lot of hockey games that way if you're having mental focus breakdowns at the wrong time. And no matter how much you're, pulling back on the reins of competition, you shouldn't be having the mental lapses that they're having, especially when they get 2-goal leads. Now, one thing that we have got to go over is that UC Saros has just been downright atrocious this season. And I have always kind of backed him, because, hey, he's a slow starter, and then he'll get red hot, and by March, everybody will be saying he should be a Vezina candidate. And it's going to happen every year, and I don't think this year is going to be any different than all the other years. But as of right now, this is not early in the season anymore. And his save percentage is .892. If you're below 9, you suck. Not franchise Vezina caliber goalie at .892. I mean, he's been atrocious. And he was atrocious last night. And so the one thing I will say is I am going to keep saying embrace the tank, and I'm sure people are not going to like that. But to me, that is the prescription painkiller for getting me through this season if it's going to be like it was the first 2 games of this homestand and that road trip is, hey, embrace the tank. Every time you get mad about something like last night's game, which you should be mad about because they should not have blown that 2-goal lead, they should have won. Well, this is what we signed up for. Take your medicine, embrace the tank. And I'm willing to take it. And I'll tell you why. Because I believe in the coach. I believe in the GM. I believe that we will see good hockey in the future one day. It's just not going to be today, and it's not going to be tomorrow. But we will see. I am convinced with this coach and this general manager, and if we get about 2 years and we don't see any progress, then maybe I'll change my stance. But right now, I believe with this coach, who I think is a really good coach, and this general manager, who is new to the game, but again, I think we all believe in Barry Trotz to a certain extent. I think that this team will be playing in May and hopefully June eventually. And I'm willing to suck it up, and I'm willing to take the losses, and I'm willing to take the anger of games last night, and I'm willing to suck it up and expect it and be okay with it for this year. Now we get into next year, then we have a little different discussion. But I'm willing to suck it up for this year. I'm willing to accept it for this year. I'm willing to watch guys that I don't think are very good sometimes that are out there on the ice that they just keep giving a chance to for this year. Because, again, that's what I feel like we kind of signed up for. And it's too bad because I think it's a year too late because all those studs were drafted last year. And I heard Robbie say on the morning show that the studs are not in this year's draft. So it's shameful, or it's not shameful, but it's a shame. But I'm willing to live that way. And I guarantee you, they probably do not feel this way. I don't want to speak for them. But I think they think, no, we're going to get it turned around. We're going to beat the Blackhawks on Saturday, and we're going to get hot with all these games at home, and we're going to work on some things, and coach is just fine-tuning it, and it's an adjustment period with the new coach and the new system and what he's asking him to do, and blah, blah, blah. And they can believe that. That's fine. You can believe that. That's fine. But I'm telling you, I am assuming a bad season, and I have sucked it up, and I'm okay with it. Phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Brian says Arizona has a better record than the Predators, so it shouldn't be a surprise that they beat them. Clayton Keller, Michael Carson, and Logan Cooley are legit. I've got a rule that if I don't know who somebody is, then I don't think they're a very good player, because the really good players, I know who they are. The all-star caliber players, I know who they are. I know who Clayton Keller is. The other two guys, Michael Carson and Logan Cooley, I don't, Is that bad, Ian, that I don't know those people?
I mean, they're kind of young, so they haven't proven much yet.
Texter says the first goal was tipped by Delgado, but Saros should have saved Gudis' goal. I didn't see the tip by Delgado. I'm telling you, he's looking right at it. He's got to make that save. I mean, you're supposed to have a good goalie. Not this happened and that goal. No, you're supposed to have a good goalie. Texter says this season is still salvageable. With a young team learning how to win, stretches like this are going to happen with blown leads. Tank or no tank, I'm excited to see the young guys improve throughout the season. If worse comes to worse, we're in play for the first true big boy forward in Celebrini that this franchise has never had. Who's Celebrini, Ian?
I guess he's some prospect.
Celebrini, all right.
Yeah.
Celebrini, that's our guy. That being said, 2 games into the homestand is way too early to say that they need to tank. First of all, I'm not saying you need to tank. I'm saying that you are going to tank. Those are two different things. This team's not going to try to lose. This team's just going to lose. Like, they're just not very good. Secondly, I feel like we're talking out of both sides of our mouth here on this text, right? Like, on one hand, it's like, hey, the season is still salvageable, and, it's only 2 games into this homestand, and I am, coupling the road trip with the 2 games because the road trip happened. Like, those games count, even though they're on the road. But, again, when you're saying, it's early and whatever, but then, tank or no tank, I'm excited to see the young guys, and we might get Celebrini. I'm like, okay. So you're saying that you're okay with being bad, which is exactly how I feel. I don't disagree with the theory in this that is, hey, I'm excited to see the young guys improve throughout the season, regardless of what happens. Me too. And what I'm excited to see when it comes to the young guys, and we're kind of going through this with Will Levis, which is when it comes to the young guys, it's, okay, which young guy is going to make it and which young guy is not going to make it. I've seen this far too many times where teams go through rebuilds in sports like baseball or hockey, and it's, we've got 19 prospects. And you read a Baseball America or Scott Wheeler's rankings at The Athletic, and there's a young prospect that they're like, this guy is going to be good. And really, there's a 50% success rate on that. when somebody says, oh, this guy's going to be good. It's kind of like the NFL draft. And so with all these guys the Predators have, whether it's kind of the older young guys like Tomasino or Novak or Glass or kind of that crew that has graduated and we're going to see who makes it and who doesn't, or kind of the young in the NHL crew like Evangelista and Parsonen and that group, or the Kimmel and Matthew Wood and all these guys that are, either in college or are down in Milwaukee or, they'll get their chances. I understand that the likelihood of all those guys hitting, the likelihood that Joakim Kimmel, Matthew Wood, and Tanner Molendyk become stars, all three of them, is not very high. But one of those guys is probably going to pop. And so then you get, okay, one of these guys in the current class pops, one of the guys in the, okay, Novak is in this class. He's one of your guys going forward. Evangelista's in the next class. He's one of your guys going forward. Wood is in the next class. He's a guy going forward. That's what's going to happen here. So then in 2 or 3 years, you're going to have a collection of players that can actually play. Bunch of you want to weigh in on the Predators. 615-737-1025, so that's what we will do. 615-737-1025 here on the program. Hey, be sure to tune in to our 1025-1063 The Game of the Week this Saturday. College football game of the week, Florida and Missouri. Presented by Twin Peaks. Take your tailgate to Twin Peaks for scenic views of all the hottest college football games across the country and home of the 29-degree beer.
Every day we are live and local.
I think Vanderbilt is steady, disciplined.
It's been so long since Tennessee's gotten out of the first weekend.
And your source for Nashville sports.
I don't mind going to another team. You want to know what the coaching staff's going to look like.
We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
When Genesis Diamonds has a sale, you know it's the real deal. And it's happening this weekend. Our final store-wide sale of the year with deep discounts up to 35% off. This is the big one, where the staff knows they can break all the rules. Plus, Genesis selection is nearly double. Designers are here from LA and New York with their entire collections on sale. Luxury pre-owned Rolexes are also marked down. All lab-grown diamonds are also included. The last and best jewelry buying opportunity of the year. Save up to 35%. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday only, and only at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Hey, it's Jared from my friends at Hiller. Hiller's Cash for the Holidays promotion is back, and they're giving away cash for the holidays with select purchases. Hiller wants to make sure every child experiences the joy of Christmas this year, and they're donating $50 in toys to Toys for Tots with every tankless water heater purchase, and giving away a $250 Visa gift card with each unit. Get a $500 Visa gift card when you buy select new HVAC systems, or a $500 Visa gift card with the purchase of any new whole home generator. These deals are only available until the end of the year, so schedule today at happyhiller.com.
Need cash for the holidays or want to be credit card debt free for the new year? Call Loan Pronto today. Their Express Equity line of credit could get you $20, $50, $100,000 in as little as 5 days. Willie Donick here. Listen up. You've got a ton of equity in your home, and Loan Pronto can help turn that equity into cash to put it to use. You can access up to 95% of your home's value. Use the money to pay off all your credit cards or pay off personal loans. Start the home improvement project you've been looking for. You can get the money you need now and still keep your primary mortgage intact, so your 3% rate is protected. Call right now, 615-499-5780. Get the holiday cash you need or pay off all those credit cards. 615-499-5780 or go online at loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
So right now may be the perfect time for you to rethink how you pay for health care. And here's why. Not only is it open enrollment for a lot of people, it's also a time you can join MediShare and save even more than usual. For many families, switching to MediShare saves about $500 a month, which is a game changer for a lot of people. But what's more, they like it. MediShare has double the member satisfaction rate compared to health insurance. Double. MediShare is a proven thing, too. For over 30 years, it's a Christian community of more than 400,000 members. And here's the thing, too. If you join before November 15th and you mention the promo code SHARE, you'll get another $150 savings. So I'll give you the number here in a second, but just call. You'll get a price within 2 minutes. And again, the deadline's November 15th. So call now and you'll save even more. Here's the number, 855-51-BIBLE. That's 855-51-BIBLE, 855-51-BIBLE.
We are Nashville's best sports talk, live and local from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. When you want the national
Hey. I got this. I'll take it from here.
Okay, go ahead. Dying to hear this.
We have the best national voices that you'll find anywhere.
Who was more deserving of being thrown from their game?
I'm odd, so I get the odd picks.
They have a new coaching staff.
It's not a bad scenario for them.
We are 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
And 94.9 The Fan.
Hey, Nashville, this is Sean Henry. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Predators maintain possession in the offensive zone. Give the puck back out by the blue line. Here's O'Reilly, left circle, Carrier, his shot, and that one ends up in the net with Forsberg in front. So a carryover, not officially a power play goal, but deflected in by establishing net puck presence.
Yep, that's exactly right. We kept very good puck control, even though the penalty was over. Got the puck to the net. Carrier gets the initial little chip shot right to Forsberg in the slot. He gets a deflection. I think he knocked that rebound right out of the air. Looked like his own rebound.
Very impressive. Philip Forsberg's heating up. You know, last week when Hal was on the show, I'm like, Hal, I'll pay Philip Forsberg $8 million to not score. And he was like, you know, he's trying. He's got a low shooting percentage. He's cutting away at it. He's chipping the wood. And since then, he's been putting the puck in the back of the net. Now, Forsberg's the kind of player, in my opinion, that when he gets hot, he can carry the team for about 2 weeks at a time. I mean, there was a stretch in 2017 where he carried that team. I want to say around February, where they went on this wild point streak, and he was the reason why. So he's capable of that. But it is incredibly disheartening for him to be going off and you still lose the way you've been losing. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com on Stillman and Company today. Chris Sanders in about 10 minutes. Michael is up next here on the Predators. Thank you for calling and thank you for waiting. What's up, Michael?
Hey, thanks for taking my call. I'd definitely say that I'm more of a Titans fan than a Predators fan, but it's just so refreshing to see a team in this town who's being so as transparent with us as Barry is with the fan base. Because even though he's obviously not going to say, oh yeah, we're going to target this guy in free agency or we're going to target this kid in the draft, he more or less came out and said, hey, I mean, we straight up just might suck for about a year or two, but you just got to trust us and we're going to get you to where we get you. Whereas Mike Vrabel's like, oh, you're going to trust us with drafting the linemen or getting wide receivers to help the quarterback out. And it's totally night and day with how these two teams are operating right now, and I really appreciate how Barry's running the organization for the past few months.
I agree, and I've always thought this when it comes to Belichick. Thank you, Michael. When it comes to Belichick or Vrabel or whomever, I have always felt like, hey, that a-hole stuff is funny when you win. People are not going to like it when you lose. Here's the thing I like about Barry Trotz. And, I mean, there's a lot of things I like about Barry Trotz. First off, Barry gets the organization because Barry is the organization. It's in his blood. But I don't think that, again, I want the smartest hockey guy running it, not the guy who cares the most. I want the guy who's going to do the best job. But the thing about Barry that I appreciate is that I understand what he's thinking and why he's thinking it, right? Like, for instance, and I use Mullendijk as the example here. They took him in the first round. They think he's going to be like Matthias Ekholm, a really good top four defenseman. And he has impressed them from the second that they saw him at development camp. And Andrew Burnett wanted to carry him onto the roster, thinks that he's ready even at a young age. And Barry, being the general manager, is like, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to throw him right to the Wolves. We're going to send him down to the minor leagues, and we're going to work him there. And then we're going to bring him up eventually, and he's a big part of our plans, but not right now. And as a fan, I can appreciate that. When Vrabel gets up there and says, do whatever's in the best interest of the football team, I mean, I don't doubt that, But you just saying it doesn't make it so. Explain to me how it's in the best interest of the team. With Barry, I understand why it's in the best interest of the organization to have Kimmel at Milwaukee, to have Mullendijk in the minors. Like, I get it. And it's because Barry's honest. And I don't think, like, Mike Tomlin's honest. I don't think it means that you're going to lose because you tell the truth. Because not everything has to be a secret. I think you can survive that way. And I do appreciate it. Texter says, hey, Jared, been waiting to talk about the Predators for a minute. Can we address the penalties with Yossi? He's currently tied for second most. The opposing team scored on 3 of those. We really can't have the captain, not to mention the top D-man, in the box so much. I got to tell you, I know Yossi scored last night, and it was a nice shot that he put in the net last night. He's not having a good season. And I don't know if it's the adjustment to Andrew Burnett. I actually thought Andrew Burnett would be a perfect coach for Roman Yossi. But he is not having a good season. Xavier says he's on team Embrace the Tank. However, he says, had we not complained for the last 2 years that the team can't generate offense, but now it seems like they're generating more offense and they can't keep the lead. Is defense not easier to improve on than offense, especially with the young guys? So Robbie was telling me this morning. Robbie said, and I don't want to, just take words right out of his mouth because I don't know if he said it on his show or not. But Robbie told me that, like, Andrew Burnett is having a hard time, he thinks, getting through to these guys on what he wants them to do defensively. And it's like I was talking yesterday about the Broncos, and this is actually a question I'm going to ask Barry Trotz today when he comes on, which is the Broncos at the beginning of the season were horrible. Like, they were horrible, right? We were like, oh, God, they spent all that money on Sean Payton to try to fix Russell Wilson, and they are still terrible? And now that they've been together for about 2 months, we start to see them figuring out ways to win against the Chiefs and against the Bills. And it's like, oh, wow, maybe Sean Payton was onto something. But these things take time. And I do wonder if it's the same with Andrew Burnett kind of implementing the kind of defense that he wants and the offense that he wants and the power play that he wants with these kind of guys. And I do wonder what Barry's going to say. Like, I do wonder. It's a question that I have about the future of the Predators, or really the current issues with why the team isn't being more successful. When I know that this coach is better than the last coach. I know it. Texter says, some of these young guys have been healthy scratches, and guys like Cole Smith play every night. Are they letting the young guys play and develop, or what? And at the same time, I understand playing time is earned. So I don't want to be the kind of guy that's like, Chuck Knoll bench Terry Bradshaw for Joe Gilliam and try to take it through that way. But I do think that just of what I know about Barry Trotz and Andrew Burnett, I just know that, like, they have a plan for all these guys. So when it comes to Tomasino, and I feel like we ask Barry about Tomasino every week, and Barry is always like, yeah, we're really working hard. We've had some hard conversations with Tomer, and we're trying to get through to him. And, he's trying this and he's trying that, and we're feeling like this is coming. And I do think that, like, that's part of the plan, right? I don't think what they're going to do is what John Hines did, which was, let's put Ellie Tolvanen on the fourth line and see if he can play a checking game. And then when he can't, just say, I don't know what we can do about it. I think there's kind of a part, like with Parsonen, for instance, right? Like, they put him in position to succeed. You're playing on a line with Ryan O'Reilly and Philip Forsberg. That is better than anybody else in the league who has the talent of Juuso Parsonen probably gets. Well, you're not producing. So now you're going to sit and you're going to go upstairs and you're going to watch the game and you're going to see, like, oh, yeah, it's a little bit slower up here. Now I see what the coaches are talking about. Now I see what they're trying to get out of me. And then they're going to put Juuso Parsonen back in there. But there's a chance with these young guys that some of them may not pop. In fact, as I said last segment, there is almost a likelihood level with some of these guys that they're not going to pop. It's a numbers game. For every 5 guys you have, two might make it. For every 5 prospects. So that means you make a trade for, Matthias Ekholm, right? And you get a first-round pick, and what did they get, Ian? Like a first-round pick, a second-round pick, and Reed Schaefer?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you get 3 prospects for Matthias Ekholm. Schaefer might be good. The first-round pick is Mullendijk. He might be good. The second-round pick might be good. But it's probably not likely that all 3 guys are going to pop. Remember the trade the Titans made with the Rams, where they traded the number 1 pick back and they ended up getting all those picks in return, and it ended up being Jack Conklin, Corey Davis, Jonnu Smith, Derrick Henry. Well, Austin Johnson and Kalen Reed were also included in that as picks that became players. And Austin Johnson, who's still an NFL player, but Austin Johnson and Kalen Reed didn't become stars. But Derrick Henry did. And that's kind of how I feel about, like, the young prospects in the minors and everything else. Adam in Portland wants to get rid of Saros. Boy, Adam in Portland, man, he wants to get rid of Vrabel. He wants to get rid of Saros. He's already gotten rid of Tannehill. He says, Jared, should we be looking to move Saros and Forsberg and try the Russian kid? I feel like we might still get a good return for both of them. And when are we realistically allowed to start shopping our players? So I think the shopping will come probably mid-January, late January. Saros we can talk about, maybe not right now, but eventually we can talk about Saros. And then with Forsberg, he's got a full no move and he signed for the next, 6 years? So I don't think he's going anywhere. Plus, Barry says they want to build around him. And when Barry says it, I believe him. I don't think Barry Trotz is screwing with me. I think he's telling me the truth. So I think they want to build around Forsberg. And I think, again, they need some veterans and things like that. And as far as Askarov is concerned, I have no idea what makes a goalie, quote unquote, ready. But I don't think they think he's ready. So I'd have a hard time with that one. 615-737-1025. John says, I want to sneak this one in here. It's amazing that both the Titans and the Predators are underperforming, yet the Predators have a plan and you have faith in it. But feel the exact opposite about the Titans must be because of how vocal and outspoken the Predators' ownership is. I mean, I just think that, again, with the Predators, we know who's in charge. With the Predators, the guy who's in charge has told us what the plan is from the second that he walked in. He did an interview the day he got hired with Chase, talked about serial winners and about how Ryan McDonough is a serial winner. And I thought to myself, as I was driving in the car, I'm like, he's not getting rid of Ryan McDonough. Serial winners are a big deal to Barry Trotz for young guys. He fires Matt Duchene and he hires Ryan O'Reilly. He tells you what he's trying to do, and then he does it. With the Titans, it's like, so, are you thinking about the future? Are you thinking about this week's game at Jacksonville? Are you? We're just thinking about taking the next breath that we're about to take and converting that oxygen into CO2. And then we'll think about the next breath that we're supposed to take. And then we'll try to get ready for practice. And so to think about next season or the game Sunday or anything else, I mean, right now, I'm thinking about how my body is taking these molecules and putting it out there into the atmosphere. Okay, thank you. 615-737-1025. Chris Sanders will join us. There was a lot of happy horse crap talk today, as far as I'm concerned, about the rest of this season when it comes to the Titans. We'll get Chris's thoughts on that next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Raider football lives on 93.3 Classic Hits.
Hey, it's Big Joe. Chip Walters and I will have the call this Saturday as MTSU wraps up their home schedule against UTEP. Our coverage begins at 12:30.
Your home for the Blue Raiders is 93.3 Classic Hits.
Go big or go home. Unless you're part of Smashville. Because here, going big means you are home. Big hits. Big names, big history, big energy. Welcome to Smashville.
Preds fans, join us as we take on the Chicago Blackhawks this Saturday, November 18th at Bridgestone Arena. Secure tickets today at NashvillePredators.com.
Calling all sweet tooths. Head to Nashville Toffee Company, a place where rich, chocolatey daydreams are created from a secret family recipe generations in the making. Their toffees and candies are handcrafted in Nashville using all natural, kosher-certified ingredients. Sweet creamery butter, pure cane sugar, premium roasted nuts, deep rich chocolate, and sea salt. Visit NashvilleToffeeCompany.com or drop by their headquarters on Air Lane Drive for a positively hassle-free shopping experience. Whether you're buying for 1 or 100, Nashville Toffee Company is here to make your holiday gift-giving easy.
Come try Calabria Brick Oven Pizzeria. Their pizza is cooked to perfection, but that's not all they're known for. Try one of their delicious appetizers, salads, fresh calzones, and they have a full bar and dessert. Calabria has been a Mount Juliet staple for 7 years now and has a new location in the heart of Goodlettsville off Long Hollow Pike. Come join the family at Calabria. After all, life's too short to eat bad pizza.
Experience the thrill of gaming glory at Harrah's Casino and Hotel, just a little over 2 hours northwest of Nashville off I-24. Call 1-800-HARRAHS and reserve your room today to indulge in top-tier casino gaming, appetizing dining experiences, and their cutting-edge sports book. As a Caesar Rewards destination, every moment you spend at Harrah's Metropolis earns you points across the entire Caesars empire. It's your time to win with Harrah's Metropolis. Must be 21 or older to gamble. No one to stop before you start. Gambling problem? Call 1-888-BETS-OFF.
Hi, what brings you to the clinic today?
Oh, the baby's not feeling well. I think she might have a fever.
Well, let's check her temp with the Exergen thermometer. You're right. These Exergen thermometers are very accurate. Reads 101.2.
Oh, gosh. Well, that Exergen thermometer sure is fast and easy to use.
Yes, and many doctors recommend Exergen for home use.
Exergen thermometers, backed by over 100 clinical studies, are available at Walgreens and participating retailers. Learn more at Exergen.com.
Insightful discussion.
When we talk about the person that these players are.
3 goals scored in the first 5 minutes.
He wants to be the starter, day one. Mixed with spirited debate.
Okay, but Derek, let's Professor Derek.
They are Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace. With Caroline Fenton, Willie Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
We got the whole thing covered. We got it all covered.
Here.
Weekdays at 11 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company always gets reaction, not only from listeners, but for advertisers. This is General Manager Sean Ford. 102.5 The Game listeners love supporting our advertisers. Let us show you how you can be a part of the program. Email me at together@cromwellmedia.com.
This is Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
First down and 10. Here's White. Pushing the pile forward and picks up 3 yards. Well, Mike Vrabel had a message for his team this week, and the message was stay in the river. He said, don't worry about the banks off to the side or what happened behind us. Focus on what's in front of us. So we met with the team last night, and it seemed like that message really resonated. Jeffrey Simmons said we had a great week of practice. We all bought in to stay in the river. Christian Fulton said we have to stay the course. So in a way, Mike Vrabel was able to connect the river to this game against Tennessee, and now for Tennessee, now they're trying to pay it off.
There you go. That was the river. We're going to stay in the river. And it produced the 20-6 loss on Sunday. Chris Sanders joins us now, former Titans receiver.
You crazy.
Chris,
yeah, crazy,
I'm
man.
embarrassed by the river, and I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
That's what we make fun of the teams that say things like that. And now our team is saying things like that. Your thoughts?
But what does it mean anyway, stay in the river?
You can stay in the river.
For what?
You know.
You don't even know what it means. I never heard that. That's the first time I heard it.
Stay in the river of a terrible football season. I don't know.
Circle the wagons. That circle wagons, we got to stay together, but stay in the river. You don't know. You don't know.
I thought that'd be right up your alley.
No, that ain't one of my. That's worse. That's not one of my cliches. I'm like staying there to get bitter or not get better. I never said stay in no doggone river.
I'll tell you. I mean,
can you imagine me saying that, Jared? Hey guys, just stay in the river.
I mean, that's where we are this season. Your thoughts?
I mean, it's like this, and I'm going to give a cliche on what I'm going to say. Is if you keep putting on the same record, you're going to consistently hear the same song. What's the same song? Offensive line, not scoring in the red zone, secondary giving up explosive plays, no energy on the sideline, no energy in the game, playing great at home, but then on the way you're playing terrible. So it's the same song that we consistently hear each and every week. So, I thought it was going to be a little different in Tampa Bay because I thought they were ready, just like what you said, Mike Vrabel, that they had a great week of practice. But then when you get down to Tampa Bay, it's opposite of what Mike Vrabel said in a respectful way.
So I do wonder this: at 3-6, in order to make the playoffs, the Titans probably, because they've lost all these AFC games for tiebreakers, probably have to find their way to 10-7. That means they could lose one game the rest of the way. Are you ready to give up on the season?
I'm not ready to give up on it yet. I mean, but if they go and they lose to the Jaguars, then you might as well kind of get out of the river, like they say. But I mean, it's just I know. That's one of the best jokes. But I don't know. But I mean, they can't lose another one. I mean, if you look at the schedule that they have, they still got Miami left. They still got a Houston team that's on fire, and they got a quarterback, C.J. Stroud, that they're like he's up for the MVP. So I'm not saying it's over, but if you don't get past the Jaguars this week, Jared, then the ladies started to sing in the corner.
What do you make of the offensive line, and is there anything they can do?
I mean, it's funny because last week I did an event with Brad Hopkins, and he played offensive line for the Tennessee Titans for a long time, Pro Bowl and all that. And I asked him, I said, what is going on with the offensive line and what things can they do better? He just said with him and Bruce Matthews, he said that they didn't care what the front was. They consistently communicate with each other. Just say if a linebacker mugged the gap, they communicated. They know that this is zone blocking, that we protecting the gap. And I think for this offensive line, I watched their eyes, I watched their body language, and there's just no communication on the offensive line. Just like last week, we had a situation where White, the linebacker, was mugging the gap, kind of like what I talked about. There was no communication between the guard and the tackle, and he just rushed the quarterback and he sacked the quarterback. So if they can get the communication things right, I think it'll maybe help. But athletic-wise, I think it's kind of tough.
What do you think about how Will Levis played?
I mean, it's kind of tough to evaluate because when you're under duress, I know he completed 19 balls and threw an interception, but how can you really evaluate him when you got an offensive line that's consistently struggling? I know he stood in there and took some shots. I know he threw some good passes, and a couple of guys dropped some balls. But, I still like what I see. I mean, he's still a confident kid. He's not scared. He's not afraid. He's going to stand in there and take some shots. But, I'm liking what I'm seeing. I know it's not what he's not getting everything out yet because we can't see, but I still like what I see.
So I have a theory I want to run by you on Will Levis that I was talking about yesterday when I watched the tape, and I do feel like the Titans are coaching to this. In your work of working with high school kids at NBA, I think that you probably see a lot of this too. You probably experienced some of this in the NFL, but kids that have anxiety, right? Like I have anxiety.
Good point.
When I watch Levis play, I think Levis has anxiety. And what I mean by that is I think he's smart. I think he's a hard worker. I think he's dedicated to the team. I think his heart's in the right place. I think he's got a great arm. I think he's talented. But when the game starts to slip away from him, when he starts to, and I don't want to call it like crunch time, but like those moments where you're looking up at the clock and it's like, we got to do something, is when he reverts to this habit of trying to get it all back in one play. Yeah. And I think the Titans know this about him, which is why they run like Tim Kelly calls those screens, to Kyle Phillips, because it's like now I'm taking this out of Will Levis's hands to not try to force a ball down the field to DeAndre Hopkins. What is your experience with quarterbacks and things like that? And could you see this, that Levis's anxiety could be taking over all of the things that make him a good quarterback when he's not in that instance?
Jared, that's a great question. And I'm going to give you an example because I coach wide receivers. And when a wide receiver drops the ball, the first thing they do is they get anxiety. But as a coach and as a coach that's developing players, I got to go and pull him to the side because I watch his body language. If he puts his head down or he's throwing his helmet, that's an anxiety. So what I do is I go to him and I remind him of who he is. I remind him of who he is when he caught the ball, and I remind him of his when he dropped the ball. I talk to him. I say, remember that route that you ran. I remember that pass you caught in that game to remind him of who he was. So now you got a situation with Levis that if he does have that anxiety, and I'm not saying I'm a doctor or anything, but I'm going to go to him as his coach, Chris London and Pat O'Hara, sit him down and remind him of who you are. Say, okay, listen, I know the game's on the line, but stay in the compounds of what we're doing. I know you want to make the big play. I know you get anxiety. I know you want to do all these things, but let's just slow down, take one day at a time. Take one play at a time and get to where we need to get. Don't feel like you have to do it all by yourself. That's how I would handle it.
And I think sometimes people hear anxiety, they think, oh, well, he gets scared. And that's not what I mean when it comes to Levis. I'm talking about Levis having this, feeling inside of him that's like, I've got to go win the game right now. And it's like, dude, chill out.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm going to give you a perfect example. I think it's about 4 or 5 years ago. I can't remember. But one of my receivers dropped a touchdown pass, and he was mad and he was upset. And, and I went to him. I said, hey, big dog, we got a long game to go. Hey, you got to make big plays and this and that. And you could see him gain his confidence back. Not that he was mad, sad or just, whatever. I said, you're going to come back and you're going to make the big play. So what happened is it was 3rd and 5, and we need to get into the end zone. He ran a comeback. He got the pass to get a touchdown. We win. So what you have to do as a coach is you got to remind him, okay, hey, dude, just relax. I know you to make that play. Don't feel like you got to do it by yourself. You got 10 other guys that's going to help you, and that's how you got to handle it.
Yeah. Last one for you. What do you make of the drops with Chig and everybody else, but specifically Chig?
Oh, I know you mad as heck. I heard you on the radio. You are mad at that dude because in camp you was loving that dude. You was like, oh, he's the best. He's great. But I think that what Chig is dealing with now is kind of what we talk about, anxiety or dealing with a little bit of confidence. So what Chig has to do and the coaching staff needs to do is make sure you take this guy back and say, let's get back to the basics. And I know this is a lot of coach talk, but this is what you got to do. Hey, let's get on this jug machine. Let's build some confidence. Because if you watch him catch the ball in the game, there's zero confidence. I mean, he even the ones that he catches, it's like a struggle. So if you see a guy struggling, go back to the basics, throw him that big pass, get him back in the game, and let's go.
Would you take him out?
No, I won't. Now, if he really hurts the team, then I have to take him out just to save the kid. But no, I'll let him fight through this adversity because now if he fights through this adversity, it's going to make him a better player, but it's going to make him a better man.
Chris, you're the most optimistic person I know. On the pregame show on Sunday, are you going to pick the Titans to beat Jacksonville?
No.
Oh, man.
No. Yes, I am. Just because you said no, I'm going to pick the Titans.
I haven't said no yet. I have not said no yet. I have not made my official selection.
I already know what you're going to pick.
But you don't know that.
I bet you 25 cents at a quarter.
You bet. You bet. You'll see. Okay. Chris Sanders, as always. Chris, appreciate you. We'll talk Sunday.
Appreciate you. I love you, bro.
Yep, Chris Sanders. And be sure to join me, Chris, and Derek at Twin Peaks in Cool Springs this Sunday, 9:30 to 11:30 for the pregame show. And the pregame show, the award-winning pregame show, is presented by Parman Tractor and Equipment and the Beast Unleashed. And you know it's bad when you've lost Chris Sanders. You know it's bad. Like, that's the most optimistic, positive guy. He doesn't even want to put Chig on the bench. And he's like, yeah, no, I'll go to Jacksonville. 615-737-1025 if you want to weigh in on the show, 615-737-1025. Coming up next, Mike Vrabel acknowledges what is the biggest fear that I think I have and you should have. He says he doesn't have it, but he acknowledges that it exists. We'll get to that coming up next. Stillman & Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, and be sure to tune into Vandy Women's Basketball. That's right. We got Vandy Women's Basketball tonight as the Commodores will be at home against Western Kentucky. Tip-off is at 6:30, pregame at 6, and coverage is available on the 94.9 The Fan app and at 94.9thefan.com.
Levis, too long in the pocket, and Vita Vea with the sack.
The Titans are 3-6 after losing to the Bucks.
I'm worried this is stunting the growth of the big picture here.
Can they rebound against Jacksonville?
You're not winning if the offensive line continues to play the way they have been playing.
Keep it locked to Nashville's best Titans talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Vanderbilt Commodore fans, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, along with 94.9 The Fan, is your new home for broadcast of games and the Commodore Hour on Monday evenings. Catch all the action for football, men's and women's basketball, and baseball all season long. Go Doors!
In any work environment, culture is the most important thing. And what makes up the culture? The people. Hey, this is General Manager Sean Ford with Cromwell Media. And this month, we have several celebrating their anniversary working with us. From our sales department, Nicola Spencer is celebrating 19 years. From engineering, Ted and Holly, 13 years. And Willie Donick with 102.5 The Game is celebrating 12 years with us at Cromwell Media. If you're looking for a new career, reach out to us at together@cromwellmedia.com. Love what you do, love where you work.
Your Game Center update.
This Game Center update is delivered by Black Tie Moving. The Tennessee Titans hit the practice field today as they look to notch one in the win column versus Jacksonville this week. Rookie quarterback Will Levis met with the media today and spoke about his progress.
It's all about reps. It's all about, getting those game reps, especially because the practice is a lot different with the quarterback position and not getting hit and feeling the pressure and knowing when to get the ball out or move or what have you. So it's been great. If anything, just give me confidence that I can go out there and operate, but obviously got to do a better job.
Wide receiver Traylon Burks, offensive lineman Andre Dillard, and linebacker Chance Campbell did not practice today. Titans versus Jags kicks off at noon on Sunday. In other NFL news, Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson is having season-ending shoulder surgery. The Nashville Predators blew another 2-goal lead last night and lost 3-2 to Anaheim. They'll have a few days to regroup as they return to action on Saturday versus Chicago. Join us for tonight's edition of Smashville Live from Brewhouse 100 in Bellevue coming up at 6 o'clock. Goalies UC Saros and Kevin Lankinen will join Max Hers and Jay Moore for a fun hour of Preds talk. And Vanderbilt women's basketball team takes on Western Kentucky tonight. Pre-game action gets underway at 6:15 on 94.9 The Fan. This Game Center update delivered by Black Tie Moving. Use the promo code GAME to score 10% off your next move. From the Game Nashville studios, this is Ian Safar.
Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUZ HD2 Laverne.
Ross Chastain will be first to finish in the Ally 500 at Nashville Super Speedway.
Nashville's exclusive home for NASCAR. 102.5 and 106.3.
Checkered flag is in the air.
Man, this is a win in the cup race.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff.
You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. So I have one major fear when it comes to the Tennessee Titans. It's not losing on Sunday to Jacksonville. It's not making the playoffs this year. It's not Mike Vrabel wanting to go to the Patriots. It's not Derrick Henry falling off. It's not there. None of that stuff I'm worried about. There is one particular thing that I am scared to death of when it comes to this football team. You all know what it is. Ian, what is it?
Ruining the quarterback.
That's the only thing I'm worried about. I am scared to death that this team is going to ruin Will Levis. Now, quarterbacks in the NFL, whenever they work, we assume that, you know what, that guy works because he is a star. We never think that, maybe he works because the organization that drafted him or acquired him, developed him, put players around him to help him, put coaches around him to help him. We just think it's binary, right? That quarterback sucks. He sucks because he never would have made it. And I heard Paul talking about this today about how Marcus Mariota wasn't mentally tough enough. And I'm thinking to myself, he wasn't mentally tough enough. Now, I'm worried that Marcus is a little soft too, but he's not mentally tough enough? Is that why he didn't work out? Because he was 26 touchdowns, 9 interceptions the second year. Just keep changing the play caller on him, keep changing the coach on him. His first year, he went out there with no line, got a knee injury. And so are we sure that it's just he's no good? Let's not forget that his best receiver was Corey Davis. Zach Wilson's best receiver for a while was Corey Davis, too. And I'll say this, I've seen Zach Wilson now in all these primetime games the Jets have because everybody thought they were going to have Aaron Rodgers this year. And I think Zach Wilson stinks. But I also think that Zach Wilson has some real talent and that the Jets, with no offensive line and no receivers for 2 years in that market, ruined him. So quarterbacks can absolutely be ruined. There are some guys that are going to be great no matter what. Peyton Manning, Joe Burrow. But guess what? Will Levis is not Peyton Manning or Joe Burrow. Trevor Lawrence was supposed to be that ascendant talent, that can't miss, that next great Urban Meyer and no receivers, and he looked like he was headed down the wrong path. Jacksonville had to put the stop sign in the ground and go get him a coach and go pay for Christian Kirk and go buy Evan Ingram and get him a line. They had to do all of that. So I do think development of the quarterback is important. Mike Vrabel was asked on Monday about whether or not he's worried that this team could ruin its quarterback.
There are examples, Mike, of guys, young guys, promising guys, getting hit a lot early in their career and it kind of having a bearing on their long-term career in terms of making them gun-shy or whatever. Do you have any concerns?
I don't, but that's something that has happened in the past, and whoever our quarterback is, we need to protect him. We all understand that for every reason that I just mentioned prior to. So no, I don't have any concern about that, but I don't want to challenge the idea.
Okay, what Vrabel's telling you is yes, quarterbacks in the NFL get ruined, but I don't think we're going to ruin Will Levis. Do you really think he believes that? Do you think he really believes, yes, I am aware that young quarterbacks have been ruined in this league, but I'm not worried that's going to happen with this guy? Of course not. There is a reason why they kept him as the third-string quarterback. The only reason that he was the third-string quarterback was because they did not want to put him in a game in which the game plan was dedicated to Ryan Tannehill. The role of the backup is, hey, man, go in and go run Ryan's plays. But they didn't want to do that. If they were going to put Levis in, they wanted to have a game plan for Levis. I think Vrabel does know he has a bad offensive line. I think Vrabel does know he has receiver problems. I think Vrabel does know he has a tight end who can't catch. Vrabel is keenly aware that quarterbacks get ruined in the NFL. So for him to say, oh, no, I don't have a fear of that happening with our guy, sure. See, here's the problem. I look at the Titans right now and I think to myself, what would Levis do if he had a fast receiver? How much better would Will Levis be with a fast receiver who could catch? And I go back to the 35-yard bomb that they threw to start the second half against Tampa Bay, in which Levis maybe put it one hair out in front of Westbrook-Akine, who is not known for his speed and is also not known for his hands. But if that is a legitimate speed receiver, if that's Tyreek Hill and he's throwing that ball down the field, that's a touchdown. And that's the difference. Think about these young quarterbacks. Even Herbert, who's got horrible coaching with the Chargers. He's got Keenan Allen. He's got Mike Williams. He's got Gerald Everett. He's got Austin Eckler. They have built a team around Justin Herbert. And he walked into most of those guys. When he got there, they had Hunter Henry. So when it comes to Levis, I keep looking at what the Titans are doing and what the Titans have, and I get incredibly nervous. And the name I keep thinking about is Mac Jones. Today, I heard Kaharski, somebody asked a question about, do you think Vrabel is going to ruin Levis the way that Belichick's ruined Mac Jones? And Kaharski immediately said on the morning show, Mac Jones is terrible! But the problem with that is, he wasn't terrible as a rookie. 2 years ago when he was drafted, and I know McDaniels is a dope as a head coach, but it does look like he's a competent coordinator, albeit with Brady, but he did a decent job that first year with Mac Jones. Mac Jones' first year in the NFL, he made the Pro Bowl. They were 10-7. He had 22 touchdowns, 13 picks. He had a QBR of 50. He had a quarterback rating of 92.5. His quarterback rating, Mac Jones' rookie year, is what Josh Allen's quarterback rating has been the last calendar year since November 1st of last year, which, granted, is not great, and they just fired their coordinator, but it's still not horrendous. A 92 quarterback rating is not bad. Then what did the Patriots do? The Patriots didn't invest any more at receiver or offensive line outside of a guard that they took in the first round last year who might be a bust, and the Rams laughed at when they drafted him while they were doing a press conference. What coordinators did they get Mac Jones? They brought in a defensive coordinator and a special teams coach and said, all right, these guys are going to be your coordinators. And now Mac Jones went from a 90 quarterback rating to an 80 quarterback rating. Mac Jones does suck. But how much of Mac Jones' suckage is because of what they've done to him? Because when he got there, he was a national champion winning quarterback who was up for the Heisman Trophy. His first year, he went to the Pro Bowl, and they made it to the playoffs. And ever since that, Papa Belichick, who's lost his fastball and decided that his guys could coach him, all they've done is hurt Mac Jones. Even this year, they had a chance at DeAndre Hopkins, and they were like, oh, no, we can't pay that kind of money. Congratulations. But they did get Mac Jones a tight end. They did get him Mike Gesicki. So I'll tell you, they have no offensive line. They have no receivers. And they got this kid out there in one of the sharpest media markets in America coming at daggers at this kid. And you think that, oh, no, he's going to find his way out of it? No. He's not Peyton Manning. He's not Joe Burrow. And neither is Will Levis. So while I am at least appreciative of the fact that Mike Vrabel is aware that you can ruin a young quarterback, I think he'd be crazy to not think, oh, yeah, we might be in danger of ruining Will Levis. Because they very much are in danger of ruining Will Levis. With the receivers they have for him, with the tight end that can't catch, with the offensive line that can't block, they very much are in danger of ruining this quarterback. And I hope they don't. But I'm scared. 615-737-1025. If you want to weigh in, 615-737-1025. Speaking of ruining the quarterback, we have a pretty good idea who's playing left tackle this week at Jacksonville. We'll do that next. Stillman and Company right here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Hey, MTSU football on 93.3 Classic hits this Saturday. The Blue Raiders will kick off at 1 at home against UTEP. Pregame is at noon. Coverage is also available on the 93.3 Classic app and at 93.3classichits.com.
Predators fans, Brewhouse South in Cool Springs, Brewhouse 100 in Bellevue, and Brewhouse West on Charlotte Avenue are 102.5 The Game's official home for Predators watch parties. Catch all the games at Brewhouse and enjoy great specials on Blue Note Bourbon and Black Abbey Beer. We are your home for Smashville. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hal Gill here for my good friends at Dunkin'. I get my Dunks every morning. I grew up with Dunkin' in Boston, and it's been my favorite ever since. Fall in love with Dunkin's pumpkin coffee, lattes, muffins, and donuts. Made with their signature high-quality coffee, each sip and bite is sure to delight. Perfect for those cool autumn mornings or as a sweet treat any time of day. You won't be able to resist the delicious pumpkin flavor. Get pumped for pumpkin. Stop by Dunkin' today.
Teddy's Tavern, downtown's newest bar with an old Nashville feel, is conveniently located across the street from Bridge and just blocks away from the pedestrian bridge. Get a taste of the new brunch menu to fuel your Titans Day pride on game day. Pre-game specials from 9 a.m. till kickoff when the Titans play at home include 2-for-1 draft beers, mimosas, and Bloody Marys. Teddy's Tavern is where you want to be before every Titans home game, so come downtown early and meet me at Teddy's.
Hey there, are you seeking relief? Perhaps you would just like to enhance your day or night. Did you know there are legal THC products available right here in Tennessee? I'm serious. You can have legal THC products shipped to the comfort of your home. Yup, comfort in cannabis is only one website away. Visit greentreescompany.com. Green Trees with a Z.
Nashville's Best Deals is a great place to save cash fast. Get up to half off or more on dining and entertainment at thegamenashville.com/deals. Check back often for new featured deals and save money now at thegamenashville.com/deals.
Hello, baby.
Sammy Hagar presents
The best of all worlds. I'm bringing some of my best friends along. Michael Anthony, Jason Bonham, and Joe Satriani.
August 28th, Bridgestone Arena, with special guest Loverboy. One night, every era, and a whole lot of Van Halen. Tickets on sale this Friday at 10 a.m. at livenation.com.
Ancestry makes the perfect gift to give people because it literally blew my mind.
It's literally like you're giving them something that they would have no knowledge of.
Which is very important because for us to basically be able to find our missing family or to see my indigenous heritage confirmed inside there. It's one gift, but it's so many different things.
Show someone where they came from this holiday season with Ancestry DNA. Now on sale at Ancestry.com.
You can always join the show by calling or texting at 615-737-1025. Our phone line is driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
This is Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
You mentioned, I guess, a few different options at left tackle the other day. Have you decided on one?
Dylan will probably work there today. And then, Jalen will to do some work there. And got 9 or 10 healthy O-linemen available here on the roster and the practice squad.
Dylan benefit from a week maybe working there as opposed to maybe just being thrown in the middle of the game.
Well, we think practice is important. So the more that he can do, again, I get the versatility, but then I'm sure there's also something to, being able to have some work there, consistently and not just limited snaps. So, that's where we'll be today. And, if that changes, that could change throughout the week.
There you go. There's Vrabel. Hey, who's going to play left tackle this week? Dylan's going to start over there. And, maybe Jalen Duncan will, I'm just going to tell you what that means. Radens is starting at left tackle on Sunday against the Jags. Now, it can't be worse than Andre Dillard. I actually think Radens is a better left tackle than Andre Dillard. Yes, I said it, and I mean that. But again, on Monday, Vrabel's talking about how I'm not worried that we're going to get our quarterback hurt. I understand, that's a problem. I'm not worried we're going to ruin our young quarterback. And then today it is get excited. Dylan Radens is your left tackle, and the best is Jim Wyatt saying, you think it'll help him to get a whole week of practice over there? Vrabel. Well, we think practice is important over here. Answer? No! By the way, Ian, is it just me, or is that like Vrabel that is that something new that he's been doing?
I don't think so. His new crutch word is I think.
Really?
Yeah. But I try to edit some stuff out. There's dead spots and some dead air. Try and take that kind of stuff out for the listeners.
I know, but he's been doing a lot of
Well, he's racking his brain, dog. We're trying to come up with solutions here. We're running out of, you got to dig deep.
Well, the solution this week is Radens at left tackle. And again, the only positive I have out of that is that it can't be worse than Andre Dillard. So when it comes to, again, me and my fear and anxiety that they're going to ruin the young quarterback, and I'm sure there are a lot of you out there that are like, it's like Chad Withrow being like, I can't wrap him in bubble wrap. I'm like, you can do better than Andre Dillard. Everybody else is doing better than Andre Dillard. You can do better than Andre Dillard. And I will say this, by the way. I do think there is something to what Chris said last hour, Chris Sanders, when he said he talked to Brad Hopkins and that Brad Hopkins told him he doesn't think these guys are communicating well. Because the first key on Mike Vrabel's coaches show yesterday was communication. And I wonder if that kind of goes hand in hand with what Brad Hopkins is telling Chris. I think there might be something to that. But again, I'm scared to death that they're going to ruin this young quarterback. And I don't know how you guys can't be scared to death that they're going to ruin this young quarterback. Phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com at 615-737-1025 if you want to get in on the program. One texter, this is going to drive me crazy. One texter says the Titans should draft speedster Xavier Worthy from Texas and on day 2 go after an offensive lineman. It's like, okay, there are so many things that are going to happen between now and the draft. For starters, we don't even know if Vrabel's going to be the coach of this team next year. I think it's probably a good chance Vrabel's the coach next year. But, I mean, that Patriots interest, is that real? What would they be willing to give up? Don't know. So when you're sitting here saying they need to go, Paul's been doing this in the morning, and it drives me freaking crazy. Paul's like, they need to draft a left tackle. Even if Marvin Harrison Jr. is available, they need to draft a left tackle. I'm thinking to myself, holy crap. So now you just take a left tackle no matter what? Over Marvin Harrison Jr.? I'm sorry. I remember when everybody told the Bengals, no, you can't take Chase. You got to take a lineman. You can't take Chase. I think they're pretty happy that they took Jamar Chase. So, it drives me nuts when people are talking about the draft right now, and they're talking about it we should get this in the first round and we should get that in the second round. I'm like, it doesn't work like that, and you know it doesn't work like that. For instance, right now you have the 8th overall pick in the draft. Let's assume quarterback goes at number 1 and quarterback goes at number 2. I'm going to guess another quarterback, whether it's Michael Penix, J.J. McCarthy, or Bo Nix, probably goes before the 8th pick. Marvin Harrison Jr. probably goes before the 8th pick. And so now there's 2 left tackles, a Penn State and a Notre Dame. If those 2 go and you're sitting there with the 8th overall pick, you mean to tell me that you're like, well, take the 3rd best left tackle, even though he might not be good? No, that's crazy talk. I mean, I got guys I like, but when you get to the draft, the drafting a position to draft a position outside a quarterback, that's the one where it's like, if you don't have a quarterback and you need to draft a quarterback, you got to draft the quarterback. Case in point, Tom Telesco, the general manager of the Chargers, said after the 2020 draft, he said, we knew Cincinnati was going to take Joe Burrow number 1. We knew Miami was going to take either Herbert or Tua at 5, and whoever they took at 5, we took at 6. Or whoever they didn't take, we took at 6. So Tua is a Charger if they had taken Herbert. Other than that, I'm like, no. And I'm not saying you have to take the best player on the board, because if the best player is a kicker, it's not going to do you any good. Or a guard, it's not going to do you any good. But this idea of oh yeah, we got to use our first round pick on this, we got to use our, I mean, it's like trading down, right? I mean, we talk about draft capital. And the Titans need draft capital, and the Titans need picks, and the Titans need, well, you're sitting there at 8. Let's say there are 4 first-round quarterbacks in this year's draft, right? Again, right now, the way they talk about it, there's 5. There's Williams, May, Nix, Penix, and McCarthy. Now, I'm not a huge J.J. McCarthy fan. I'm also a big Bo Nix fan, but I think he's kind of old, so he might go a little bit later. But again, let's say you're sitting there with the 6th pick because you suck so bad, and you've got a quarterback. Well, if somebody's going to offer you a king's ransom to move up to 6, for you to move back to 14, you wouldn't do that? Well, what if the best player on the board at 14 is Brock Bowers, the tight end out of Georgia? I know you want a wide receiver, but no. It's way too early for all of that. And so, I mean, I don't do this whole, like, oh, yeah, we should draft this guy. Like, no. You do that if it's quarterback. If you've got the number 1 pick and Andrew Luck's available, then you can start talking about it. But outside of that, I mean, there are so many things that can happen between now and then. Woo! Oh, it's crazy. One texter into the text line says, how else do the Titans fix left tackle? There isn't a good free agent available in 2024. You fix left tackle by evaluating the entire landscape. There are 3 ways to acquire players. There is the draft, there is free agency, and there are trades. Forget about the waiver wire or the supplemental draft or the international program. I'm talking about good players. There's only 3 ways: the draft, free agency, and trades. Now, let me ask you guys a question. When Tyreek Hill was tearing it up in Kansas City, did you think he was going to be a Miami Dolphin the next year? Did you think A.J. Brown was going to be a Philadelphia Eagle? Did you think Trent Williams was going to be a 49er? Trades are possible. The other thing to look out for when we talk about the free agent class that we have got to remember is that a lot of times NFL contracts are treated like options. So there are guys that don't have any guaranteed money for next year whose teams are going to release them because, well, we don't want to pay you $19 million this year. And those guys might be available. But I'm not just going to say, got to take a left tackle, got to take a left tackle, got to take a left tackle. Because I don't know what'll be there. I don't know where you'll be picking. I don't know who will be there. I don't know what that's, again, you're just totally wasting time if you're sitting there trying to analyze who they should draft when you don't even know where they'll be drafting. So that gets me all worked up. 615-737-1025, more your phones. Plus, Will Levis was asked how he's not going to get ruined. I did like this answer. We'll do that next. Stillman and Company right here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Let me tell you what won't get you ruined. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. That's right. I love Hiller. They are the best. They've been taking care of my home for years, and they can do the exact same for you. Hiller is giving away, Hiller's got their Cash for the Holidays promotion, which they've been doing every year since I've been here, which I like a lot, because they're giving away cash for the holidays with select purchases. Hiller wants to make sure every child experiences the joy of Christmas this year, so they're donating $50 in toys to Toys for Tots with every tankless water heater purchase, and giving away a $250 Visa gift card with each unit. Get a $500 Visa gift card when you buy select new HVAC systems, or get a $500 Visa gift card with the purchase of any new whole home generator. And these purchases all have great financing options with low monthly payments. These deals are only available until the end of the year, so schedule today at happyhiller.com.
All the big plays.
Touchdown, Tennessee!
All the big stories.
I fully expected DeAndre Hopkins wanting a one-year deal.
All in one place. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
Touchdown, Tennessee!
You're going to make a trade like this.
Does he want to retire a Tennessee Titan?
The door's on the board.
Such superstar players. The Game. And the Game Nashville app.
Willie Donick here for Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. The official brand perception report for doors and windows is in. Pella Windows and Doors are the leading brand among all others. A few reasons why. Pella is regarded as the highest quality, the most innovative, and the installers with Pella of Nashville lead the way for attention to detail. That's why Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville is one of Pella's top locations in the country. For new doors or windows, I suggest you choose the experts at Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. Go to PellaNashville.com.
Get ready for a magical holiday experience at Belmead Historic Site and Winery. Join us for our free holiday open house Thursday, November 16th from 5 till 8 p.m. Meet Santa and Mrs. Claus, tour our enchanting mansion, and delight in holiday crafts and activities for the whole family. Treat yourself with our renowned wines and bourbon from Belmead Winery and savor foods from the Belmead Meat and 3. Let's create cherished memories that will last a lifetime at Belmead Historic Site and Winery. Only 7 miles from downtown Nashville. Reserve online at visitbelmead.com.
At the Home Depot, Saturdays are about two things: the one-of-a-kind wood-fired flavor of a Traeger Ironwood XL grill and football. That's right, Desmond Howard. Get fired up for the game in just a tap with Traeger's intuitive touchscreen. Then throw on your favorites and monitor the grill from anywhere with Wi-Fi technology. So you spend less time staring at the grill, which means more time for football. Upgrade your Saturday with Traeger and the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Need cash for the holidays or want to be credit card debt free for the new year? Call Loan Pronto today. Their Express Equity line of credit could get you $20, $50, $100,000 in as little as 5 days. Willie Donick here. Listen up. You've got a ton of equity in your home, and Loan Pronto can help turn that equity into cash to put it to use. You can access up to 95% of your home's value. Use the money to pay off all your credit cards or pay off personal loans. Start the home improvement project you've been looking for. You can get the money you need now and still keep your primary mortgage intact, so your 3% rate is protected. Call right now, 615-499-5780. Get the holiday cash you need or pay off all those credit cards. 615-499-5780 or go online at loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Green right, box 2 run, double K.
He takes you inside the huddle through the eyes of a quarterback.
Wide 85, take!
Catch ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck every Tuesday at noon as he breaks down the big stories in the NFL.
Buffalo, maybe Miami.
And with the Tennessee Titans.
The Titans might be like, we're interested in a 1-year, $1 million contract.
Tim Hasselbeck is on Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, this is Vanderbilt football head coach Clark Lee. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
When you are out there, you are getting hit, your sacks, pressures, etc. What is it about you that will allow you to continue to develop and not run into some of the issues other quarterbacks had from getting hit so much earlier?
Just keeping your wits about you. Just staying within the game plan. You can't let some of those factors determine like how you're going to think about a play or your process. Obviously, there's some times where there are answers that you can kind of turn to if there is a pressure, whether we're not picking it up or it's coming a little faster. So just keeping your wits about you and keeping and instilling confidence in those guys up front.
There you go. That was Will Levis. TD basically asked in a very nice way of saying, so how do you not let the pounding that you've taken the last 3 weeks, how do you not let that ruin you like it's ruined other quarterbacks? Namely, the most obvious is David Carr. How do you let this not ruin you like it's ruined other quarterbacks? And he's like, well, you gotta keep your wits about you. Just, maybe there's some things you can do here or there, but as a quarterback, just got to keep your wits about you. And every time I hear something like that, I think of the old story about Belling the cat. Ian, do you know the story about Belling the cat?
No, I don't think I do.
So Belling the Cat is a fable, also known under the titles The Bell and the Cat and The Mice in Council. In the story, a group of mice agree to attach a bell to a cat's neck to warn them of their approach in the future. But they fail to find a volunteer to perform the job. Moral of the story, easier said than done. Here's the thing about ruining a quarterback, and this is why, again, I talk about the conversation that I had with a former NFL head coach who was an offensive guy who's developed young quarterbacks before Will Levis got his first start. And he told me that the term manager that they use in baseball is probably what they should use for a quarterback developer, for a coach with a young quarterback, manager. And there's so much that goes into it, right? And I go back to the Westbrook-Akine non-35-yard gain against the Buccaneers, or the Chigakonkwo non-15-yard first down in the middle of the field, or the Chigakonkwo non-touchdown. If those plays happen, and let's just say you win, those plays happen and you beat the Buccaneers, everybody would be elated about Will Levis. This town would be red hot for Will Levis again. And think about the positivity and the energy and the belief and all of those non-tangible aspects that are always important when it comes to young quarterbacks. Think about all those things that you'd have. And that's why, again, I appreciate Levis. He wins a game, says, I'm going to not try to get too high. And he loses a game. I'm not going to try to get too low, keep my wits about me, that kind of thing. It's like, right. But I deal in reality here. And it's easier said than done when you're getting the pounding that he's getting to be able to get up every time and not let that affect you. So again, just like the mice and the cat and the bell, easier said than done. Kevin has been waiting patiently and is up next here on Stillman and Company. Thank you for calling. Thank you for waiting. What's up, Kevin?
Thank you, Jared. My understanding is that Skoronski is not playing tackle because his body doesn't fit the NFL dimensions. His arms are too short. So if that is the case, one of two things happened. Either his arms shrunk after he was drafted, or Rand Carthon and the team are idiots. What am I missing here?
So that's a really, really good question. And so Kevin, I appreciate your call, and I think it is very well asked the way that he asked it. So either his arms shrunk or they're stupid. Now, let's start with the arms thing. Rashawn Slater, the Pro Bowl left tackle of the LA Chargers, has the exact same arms as Peter Skoronski. When I watched the Buccaneer tape, the thing that I noticed about Skoronski is that smaller players get around him pretty easy. That's why you'll see on some of these run plays in the backfield or quarterback hits, you'll see Skoronski kind of get twisted, turnstile a little bit. And so I wonder if the Titans aren't doing it because they think that if they put him out there at tackle, that he can't move his feet well enough to be able to stay in front of these edge rushers. Because it's one thing when it's a DT, and he can push. He pushed Cam Hayward 7 yards down the field. So he can push. But can he move with those guys? I don't know. Like this week, for instance, Trayvon Walker and Josh Allen, those guys are freaking, they're freaks off the outside. So it may be tough. Now, again, you're asking Radens and Dillard to do it. That may be a different story. But I go back to the second part. Or they're just idiots. And that's where it takes me with the Titans when it comes to the Skoronski pick. I think Skoronski's probably going to be a good football player. I have not seen anything that makes me think he's going to be Bruce Matthews. I'm not ruling it out. I just haven't seen it. I just don't think he's going to be Bruce Matthews or Mike Munchak, and I'm not planning on it, and he doesn't look it so far this year. Quentin Nelson, and I'm not a huge Quentin Nelson fan, but Quentin Nelson went right into the NFL and right to the Pro Bowl. And Skoronski is not going to go to the Pro Bowl this year, and Skoronski does not belong in the Pro Bowl this year, which is a concern. But I go back to this whole collaboration thing when it comes to the Titans. And this is where the Skoronski and Levis thing still bothers me, which is the competence of the organization. There is a reason why other players, like Skoronski was ranked as like the 6th or 7th or 8th best player in this class. And yet he just kept falling down the draft board, right? Like the Eagles, they needed a guard. They lost their left guard. But they wanted Jalen Carter instead because it's a more premium position. They have plenty of defensive linemen, plenty of pass rush, but they're like, no. Jalen Carter is an impact player at an impact spot. So we're going to take him, right? The Chicago Bears took the right tackle, Darnell Wright out of Tennessee. The Arizona Cardinals took Paris Johnson, the left tackle, out of Ohio State. If the Titans knew that they needed a quarterback, if there was, and again, I talk about the Titans, but if the guy in charge of the Titans, whether it's Rand Carthon, Mike Vrabel, Jared Stillman, whoever, if that guy knew he needed a quarterback and he was sitting there at 11 and he thought Will Levis was a franchise quarterback, that guy would have drafted Will Levis. But if you're collaborating and you have to compromise on everything, which it feels like is how the Titans are doing business, you have the almighty board. And, well, Peter's ranked 8th on our board. Hey, plays guard. Yeah, but he's ranked 8th on our board, so we got to take him. And that is what I believe happened. I don't think the Titans ever had any interest at all in playing Peter Skoronski at tackle. It's obvious they didn't have any interest. He hasn't practiced a rep there since rookie minicamp. He has not practiced one rep that I've seen of him at left tackle in a Titan helmet. So he was never going to play left tackle. So you said again, either his arm shrunk, which they probably didn't, or Ran Carthon, and I don't, again, I'm not going to pin this totally on Carthon. The collaboration is incompetent. And that's how I feel. That's how I feel. Texter says, I like the idea, Jared, of trading for players. However, trading for good players are usually sign and trade deals, and the Titans are too cheap for that. Although I agree with you, focusing on position instead of best available come draft day is usually the bad idea. But hear me out. The line is terrible. Draft all linemen you want come 2024. Again, I mean, it's like Jalen Duncan, right? So Jalen Duncan right now is the backup left tackle for the Titans. Now, I have no idea if when it comes to Jalen Duncan, if he's ever going to be any good. But all I remember is when he was drafted. And I don't know, day 3 of the draft, I don't know if I was watching ESPN or if I was watching NFL Network, but it flashed up on the screen, led the Big Ten in sacks allowed. And because the Titans weren't about to play a game and it was the 6th round, I sat there on my couch and had a nice little chuckle, and I tweeted out, there's your Dennis Daly replacement. Well, Jalen Duncan has the size of a first-round player, but he doesn't have the game of a first-round player. When he had to go in against the Steelers the other day, he had this look on his face on the sidelines. They showed him on TV, and it was like, hold up, me? You want to put me in the game? Are you sure hold on. Did coach say me? Yes, he said you go. Okay? Like right now, that might be your best option at left tackle. And that makes me incredibly nervous. And so the idea of just drafting all these linemen, again, it's fun to say, but it's not really how the world works. Texture says the Titans could fix it now by playing the left tackle from this year's draft at left tackle. Yeah, I was all for it, yelling and screaming. When I just watched these, when it's a linebacker that Skoronski's going, they get around him too quick. And so I think that might be what the Titans are doing. If not, if it is just they think he has short arms, then I would agree that I think they're incompetent. But, Texter says, Levis isn't a franchise quarterback. Pretty hard to ruin him. He already sucks. Yeah, there's no way you can have an opinion of whether or not Levis is good or isn't good. I mean, there's no way to do that. 615-737-1025 is our phone number if you want to weigh in. 615-737-1025 here on the program, and we will get to your phones on this. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Vanderbilt basketball lives here.
Hey, it's Kevin Ingram. It's Vanderbilt and Central Arkansas this Friday night. Join Tim Thompson and me starting at 5:30.
Your home for the Commodores is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Genesis Diamond's biggest and last sale of the year is here this weekend. It's an extraordinary event with savings up to 35% store-wide. Rings, earrings, pendants, bands, bracelets, nothing's held back for this once-a-year 3-day store-wide event. Acclaimed designers are here with expanded collections and special pricing. Plus, get 0% interest financing. Luxury pre-owned Rolex is included. Lab-grown diamonds included. It's this Friday, Saturday, and yes, even open Sunday for this incredible event. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Predators fans, Brewhouse South in Cool Springs, Brewhouse Highway 100 in Bellevue, and Brewhouse West on Charlotte Avenue is your home for hockey action all season long. They are Predators approved and all the games are on, and they'll even give you the sound. Get awesome game day drink specials on Blue Note Bourbon and Black Abbey Beer. When you think hockey, think Brewhouse South in Cool Springs, Brewhouse Highway 100 in Bellevue, or Brewhouse West on Charlotte Avenue. Go Preds!
It's the Electronic Express Black Friday Savings Marathon. Every Sunday means hot new deals. Get the gifts you want and save up to 50% throughout the entire store. Get a TCL 65-inch 4K TV, now only $349, plus other hot deals. At Electronic Express, dream big, pay small with up to 36 months special financing on deals like a Frigidaire kitchen package, only $15.99, or a Microsoft Surface Pro 9, now only $8.99. Shop the Black Friday Savings Marathon at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees, Earth, Wind, and Fire, and Chicago reunite together again. The Heart and Soul Tour 2024. Earth, Wind, and Fire, and Chicago. Live at Bridgestone Arena, August 20th. Nashville, this is going to be a night to remember. Get tickets this Friday at 10 a.m. at livenation.com.
Save on stuff you really need and stuff you bought for fun. Stuff you've always really wanted this holiday at Amazon. Stuff that is discounted if you're naughty or you're nice. Stuff to buy your grandma who drinks her Chardonnay with ice. Stuff to make you big and strong. Stuff we can name in this song. Stuff for lawns and decking halls. Save big on stuff at Amazon. Stuff.
Hey, Doc, nice office. Quick question. If you had to choose, would you give yourself a root canal or run payroll?
Run payroll, no question.
Seriously? Well, have you run payroll before?
Paying my team with Gusto couldn't be easier. Gusto gives me unlimited payroll runs, next-day direct deposits, and automatically files my taxes. Saves me time.
Wow, that's nice.
Over here, Doc. Can I run payroll too?
Choose payroll without the pain. Visit gusto.com/radio to sign up for free.
Nashville's radio version of The Odd Couple.
You would trade for the third pick? Yeah, I don't know that I would do that.
Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode are Robbie and Rexrode.
I'm here for the discussion. I'm not. It's a good one.
It's absurd. Robbie and Rexrode. Mornings from 6 to 9.
Win the games. When they get in the playoff, they'll have a chance to.
Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Check us out on X. Follow us at 102.5 The Game, and I'm at Jared Stillman.
This is Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
What would a win on Sunday, first road win against a division rival that's leading your division, what could a win do on Sunday to galvanize this team going forward?
For sure. I mean, it's a big one. We talked about today, it's only our second division game, so I mean, we still got all these division games left, and as far as we see it, it's still wide open. We got to take it one day, one game at a time, and it's a big one for sure. But as long as we just focus on our keys and what we can do individually to make those keys come to life, that's all we can really focus on, hopefully leaving Jacksonville with the dub on Sunday.
There you go. That's your quarterback, Will Levis, Ian, and he's saying, hey, we're just trying to get back on track with a win. Vrabel was asked, if you could, by the way, Vrabel was asked about, hey, Jacksonville was 3-6 last year, and they ended up in the divisional round of the playoffs. Do you ever look to those teams as an example for this team to get behind this season?
Jacksonville was in a really similar situation last year as you guys are now at 3-6. Do you use examples like that when talking to the team, or maybe your past experience with teams that have had?
Well, I think you always try to do that. I think what we're trying to focus on is improving and winning. And I think that's, I think you could find a million examples of things that have happened, which, again, does make sure that, anything that we want to do is in front of us and that it's possible. And, we know how it goes in this league. You get going on a roll. You just have to play better, longer, more consistent.
So, the happy horse crap talk with the Titans is, well, we just got to take it one game at a time. We're just focused, but they're not ruling anything out. I am. Like, even if they beat Jacksonville on Sunday, that does not excite me. And you guys remember that at 2-4, I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. There's still plenty of time in this season. There's still a lot of football left. You got to beat Atlanta at home, and then you got to find a way to eke out a win on Thursday night at Pittsburgh, because I knew you weren't going to blow Pittsburgh out. But you had to just find a way to take it, and then at 5-5, on you go. But at 3-6, the likelihood of the Titans being able to dig themselves out of this hole and back, Levis is talking about, well, we still have all these division games in front of us. The likelihood they can lose one more game the rest of the season. One more game. They got 2 at Jacksonville, 2 with Houston that seems to be on the right track, 1 on the road at Miami where you can't win on the road and they can score, and you can't cover Tyreek Hill. You probably should beat Indianapolis and Carolina at home. Seattle, who is good. There's no way you're only going to lose one game the rest of the way. So I know they can't get up there and say, yeah, we don't think it's very likely we're going to find our way into the playoff mix. But I can. And I don't think there's any way they're going to find themselves into the playoff mix. If you can't beat teams like New Orleans, Indy, Pittsburgh, and Tampa, you don't belong in the playoffs. And this team's not going to go to the playoffs. But it is funny to hear again that, oh, no, we're looking for a way. We win this game, and, the things happen. There's a million examples in the league of the, That's fine. But come on now. Let's keep it real. One texter into the text line says, Jared, we love your show at the bar in Chicago, but we wish you would answer some of our texts that you may not want to answer. First of all, the texter says, Jarrett, Jarrett. My name is Jared, Jared. Do you think if Levis had an offensive line like the Chargers, do you think he could look like C.J. Stroud, who is on his way to the Pro Bowl? That's Tommy from Chicago. Tommy, let me tell you this. If Will Levis had the offensive line C.J. Stroud has, and Will Levis had the tight end C.J. Stroud had, and Will Levis has the wide receivers that C.J. Stroud has, and Will Levis had the play caller that C.J. Stroud has, I think he'd be much better. Do I think he'd be on his way to the Pro Bowl? I have no way of knowing that. But environment and infrastructure matters for quarterbacks. You think the Chicago Bears could stick Brock Purdy into the lineup and all of a sudden turn him into a franchise quarterback? You saw what Brock Purdy looked like when Trent Williams was out and Deebo Samuel was out. It was not pretty. He looked like a young quarterback in that Monday Night Football game against the Vikings where he's running around in the back of the pocket. He's trying to run away. It's like, dude, throw the ball away. Don't do what all the young quarterbacks do. Texter says, I may be wrong, but I feel like the new GM gives his input on what he likes and who he wants to draft or trade for, and Mike Vrabel gets the final say-so, and that will never work. Whereas before, I felt like it was probably the other way around. Vrabel gives his input, and John Robinson had final say-so, and that's the way it's supposed to be. I feel like the bigger problem is that Mike Vrabel has way too much power. I'm trying to think of this, where we decided Mike Vrabel was running the ship. Because I've heard Paul say that over and over again, that, Vrabel's in charge. And Chad's convinced Vrabel's in charge. And there's this weird thing of all these people are convinced Vrabel's in charge, but I don't know what leads everybody to believe that.
Probably the John Robinson firing, no?
But why would that mean that Vrabel's in charge?
Well, I think some people think there was some type of power struggle there.
Even though the owner said, vehemently, there absolutely, positively was not a power struggle. And I can tell you that I know there wasn't a power struggle between the two.
Yeah. Well,
there's
good.
not bad blood between Robinson and Vrabel. I can tell you that.
Yeah. I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe because Rand comes from San Francisco and that's how that blueprint was working?
Maybe. But again, I think what's happened is I think the Titans have changed the organizational structure that people who in the building had a boss that was John Robinson now have Mike Vrabel as their boss. And so that probably led some people to believe like, oh, Vrabel's in charge now. But I don't think that's necessarily the case. I mean, I really think, I told you this when Rand Carthon got hired, and they avoid talking about who is in charge over and over and over again. And I told you that I think what happened is the owner said, hey, you guys are both going to report to me, and I need you to play nice in the sandbox. And they said, yes, ma'am, we will play nice in the sandbox. And that's what we have. That's why when Fitz came on the show a couple of weeks ago and said that the Titans coaches were mad at whoever leaked that story about Will Levis starting to Ian Rappaport, we have immediately seen a zip up and a lockdown when it comes to the Titans. And everything that has come out that has been reported is, oh no, they are working hand in hand. Those two guys, as Diana Rossini, the unofficial voice of Mike Vrabel, put out there, Vrabel believes in Rand Carthon. And then TD came on last week, and TD said, like, I'm telling you, he's like, everything that he's heard, that's what he said on the show, that it is a true collaboration. When I asked Vrabel about him and Rand and the offensive line on Monday, he was sure to include Chad Brinker and Anthony Robinson and that collaboration group that they have, the Supreme Court of the Titans, that let's make sure we put everybody in here. And I think what happened is after that report from Fitz and after Charles Robinson, kind of added to that a little bit by choosing his words carefully on Robbie and Joe the next morning, I think there was a discussion at Titans HQ that was like, okay, we're zipping it up now. Like, we're not doing this. We're not having this. We're on the same page, and we're not letting anybody tear us apart or talk about us or say anything, which is why nobody, not Diana, not Rappaport, nobody had the story that Will Levis was going to be named the starting quarterback on that Tuesday. When I guarantee you, Vrabel knew on Friday, when he told you, I'll have an answer for you on the depth chart on Tuesday, he knew on Friday that he was going to tell Tannehill on Monday and that he was going to name Levis the quarterback on Tuesday. But they made sure not to let that out. So I really do think that, again, the owner has come in and has said, hey, you guys work it out together and report to me. I don't think that'll ever work, but I do think that's what they're doing. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. One texter says, off subject, Jared, what was the tea you heard about Craig Aukerman at the CMA Awards? I'm dying to know. I'm not going to tell you. Like, I'll just put it to you like this. I was stunned to have heard it. And I hope for Robbie's sake that it's true. 615-737-1025 is our phone number if you want to weigh in. 615-737-1025. Coming up next, how does Amy Adams Strunk feel about the Titans coach, the one that you all are starting to turn on? We've got an idea. We'll do that next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3. The Game. Let me tell all the fine folks out there to play Silly Underdog Picks. That's right, Silly Underdog Picks. You can make your picks at thegamenashville.com or the 102.5 The Game app. And Silly Underdog Picks is presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket.
He breaks down every game.
The players are still going to be fine.
And knows the ins and outs of the two-tone blue.
They deal with their own position coaches.
He is ESPN NFL Nation Titans reporter Teron Davenport.
It's clear what he's doing.
TD joins every Monday at 1, Thursdays at 3, Friday mornings at 8, and anytime on the Talkin' with TD podcast.
I think that's really cool how he could show both sides.
TD is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Hi, this is Warren Moon, former quarterback for the Houston Oilers, 9-time Pro Bowler, and a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. When I played, I worked hard to train my body and practice to make sure I was prepared on game day. That's what boosters do for your immune system and why I chose to get boosted. Preparation keeps you game ready. Talk to your doctor. Make sure you're up to date on all your shots and get the information you need to make an informed choice. Gear up, Tennessee. Find a shot near you by visiting vaccines.gov today.
One of the most influential metal bands of all time. For the fans, for the brothers, for legacy. Pantera. Friday, February 9th, Bridgestone Arena. With special guests, Lamb of God. On sale this Friday, 10 a.m. at livenation.com. Pantera, live in concert.
For the love of the climb, for the love of the fall, for the love of knowing your kids' laughter is the sweetest music there is, for the love of Tennessee. Travel safe. Brought to you by the Tennessee Department of Tourist Development, the Tennessee Association of Broadcasters, and this station.
Original Tennessee Titan and living legend Zach Pillar is new to Instagram, and he wants you to follow him. Go to Instagram right now and follow at Zach Pillar Design 69 for some fun giveaways and to keep up with all of his life's updates, past and present. Zach Pillar is working on some exciting new projects and is doing great work in the community and wants to welcome you to his world. Won't you come in? Follow Zach on Instagram and tune into the Chase and Big Joe show every Tuesday at 10:30 to hear from Zach Pillar live on 102.5 The Game.
Now, your Game Center update.
Brought to you by Gary Force Acura, proud sponsor of your Nashville Predators. The Tennessee Titans were back on the practice field today as they begin preparations for Jacksonville this week. Quarterback Will Levis spoke about the challenge of trying to develop while facing pressure up front.
Just keeping your wits about you. Just staying within the game plan. You can't let some of those factors determine like how you're going to think about a play or your process. Obviously, there's some times where there are answers that you can kind of turn to if there is a pressure, whether we're not picking it up or it's coming a little faster. So just keeping your wits about you and keeping and instilling confidence in those guys up front.
Wide receiver Traylon Burks and offensive lineman Andre Dillard did not practice today. Offensive lineman Daniel Brunskill, defensive back Sean Murphy-Bunting, and defensive back Anthony Kendall were listed as limited. Titans versus Jags kicks off at noon on Sunday. In other NFL news, Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson is having season-ending surgery on a broken bone in his shoulder. The Nashville Predators blew another 2-goal lead last night and lost to Anaheim 3-2. They'll have a few days to regroup as they return to action on Saturday versus Chicago. Join us for tonight's edition of Smashville Live from Brewhouse 100 in Bellevue, coming up at 6 o'clock. Goalies UC Saros and Kevin Lankinen will join Max Hers and Jay Moore for a fun hour of Preds talk. And Vanderbilt women's basketball takes on Western Kentucky tonight. Pre-game coverage starts at 6:15 on 94.9 The Fan. From the Game Nashville studios, this is Ian Safar.
Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Broadcasting on Alexa.
I appreciate that.
And other smart speakers. 102.5 and 106.3.
And the score!
You can run different offenses.
The doors on the board.
Off the field, on the field.
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff. You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. So things are not good for Mike Vrabel right now. 3 out of their last, 16? They're 3-13. 3 out of their last 16, and he's been the head coach for all of them. John Robinson didn't sign Andre Dillard. John Robinson didn't draft Peter Skoronski. John Robinson didn't sign Chris Hubbard. Vrabel has been the one constant, and that's bad. And a lot of Titan fans have turned on Vrabel, including my dad. I was really not sure if I was actually going to say that, but my dad on Sunday said after the game, and the thing about my dad as compared to me, I know you guys think I'm wild and crazy and reactive and, I freak out and everything else, but there is a big difference between my dad and I. My dad is, first of all, 40 years older than me, basically. And my dad's managed people for about 45 years. He's very calm. He doesn't overreact. In fact, I'd argue certain elements, he might be the exact opposite of me. And he said to me Sunday, we were watching the game, he goes, I think it's time to move on from Mike Vrabel. My dad, my never fire a coach dad, I think it's time to move on. And for me, that was like a wow. That's probably how this fan base feels about Mike Vrabel for the most part is, I've had enough. You know, he's, he was good for us for a bit, but it's time to turn the page. Like, it's just not working out. And when I heard that, I'm like, wow, even my dad, my never fire the coach dad, wants to move on from Vrabel. Now, I've said, I'll trade Vrabel. I'm not interested in firing Vrabel. Things continue along the path they're going, that may change. But right now, like, I'm pretty committed to Vrabel, but I would be fine with trading him. Getting nothing in return for him to go watch him coach somebody else, that I may not be here for. But John McClain, who knows the Adamses as well as anybody probably could, was on Chasing Big Joe today. And they were talking about Belichick and Vrabel and the Titans and Slowick and all kinds of things. And John McClain, who, again, is as tied in the Houston sports scene as anybody, you all know that, is tied into the NFL, and I think, again, has known the Adamses for forever. John McClain says, don't get your hopes up about trading Mike Vrabel.
I don't believe for a minute Mike Vrabel's going anywhere, knowing how Amy Adams Strunk thinks of him. And even Mike called her up and said, hey, Amy, I want to go to New England, which I doubt he would. She's not going to let him go. And because she likes him and thinks he's a great coach.
Okay, you heard it right there from the horse's mouth. John McClain says they're not going to fire him. And even if he were to go to the owner and he were to say to the owner, hey, I've had a nice run here. I love you, but I think I'd rather go to the Patriots. I'm in the Patriot Hall of Fame. I'd like a fresh start. I just think that this thing has run its course as much as I enjoy being a Titan, as much as I love you guys, but I just think it's time for something new. John McClain says she would look at it and say, no, because she thinks he's such a great coach. And there's a chance John's wrong, but he probably would have a more educated opinion on all of this than we would. And I heard that and I thought, oh, no. Oh, no. Because what it makes me do is it's not that I'm fine with Vrabel as the coach. And if the team continues to stink and she wants to come out at the end of the year and say, look, when we fired John, we knew that we were headed for the outhouse. Like, we knew it. And so we think Mike's the guy to guide us through this. And, we're going to keep working and we like it and whatever. I may not completely agree with that, but that's one thing to say, and it wouldn't be the end of the world if that's what happens. But the brainwashing or blindness to Mike Vrabel's faults, that bothers me. If you can't look at this right now and think that Vrabel is at least somewhat culpable for the last year of football we've had to watch, you are not living on planet Earth. They lost a game to Cincinnati last year in which the defensive tackle hit the snapper in the neck. They went into this year without a starting tight end on the roster. Their starting tight end is a fourth rounder who can't catch. They left Andre Dillard singled up with Myles Garrett at the end of the first half of a Cleveland game that was still somewhat within reach. I'm not saying Vrabel's to blame for all these losses, but Vrabel is to blame for some of the losing. And maybe, the last time she talked to McClain was a year ago or when they fired John or at the owners' meetings last year. I don't know the last time that she's talked to McClain, so maybe it's been a while. And maybe she, like my dad, is souring a little bit on Vrabel. But I don't think so. Now, that's not the first person that has told me unequivocally Amy Adams Strunk loves Mike Vrabel and that Mike Vrabel in her eyes can do no wrong. And that is what bothers me. Because while I don't expect any coach to be perfect, and I don't think that Vrabel is incompetent, like I don't think that he's Brandon Staley, he's done plenty wrong. And I don't like the idea when I think accountability is paramount in pro sports. I think accountability, in order to be good at anything, accountability is important. Like even golf, I think you have to be accountable to yourself. But in order to be good at anything, I mean, you got to have standards. You have to set the standards. You have to meet the standards. You have to be honest. And when it comes to Vrabel, like, again, he screwed up plenty over the last year. So I don't want to hear this. I am scared to death that that's true, that the owner of this team is determined, come hell or high water, Mike Vrabel's a great coach. He's going to be the one that leads us through it. Like, I look at Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick right now, right? And they're probably not going to make it through. They're probably not going to make it next, like, after this year. But you know as well as I do that 5 years ago, 6 years ago, Robert Kraft thought Bill Belichick was the greatest coach who ever lived, that he hung the moon, and that Belichick could do no wrong. Thought he was an a-hole, but he could do no wrong. Now, I think they show Robert Kraft up in the box, and Robert Kraft's looking at it like, God, I can't stand the fact that this a-hole's my coach. We suck. This team sucks. I can't believe Bill has us this bad. Like, he's not immune. He's not blind to the fact that Belichick ain't got the fastball anymore, or really the changeup or the curveball. So we should not have this sacred cowism for Mike Vrabel. Vrabel's never done anything in this league. What are we talking about when it comes to Vrabel? He's been to one AFC championship game. Jeff Fisher went to 2, and he was a terrible coach. So this idea that the owner is just, oh no, even if the Patriots called, she would not be interested whatsoever in dealing Mike Vrabel, makes me think, oh, no. The idea that Mike Vrabel can do no wrong because Mike Vrabel is an excellent coach. Oh, no. And again, all the people outside of Nashville, all the national media people, all the people that used to cover the Patriots, all of that, whatever, that they're like, oh, Vrabel, he's a tremendous coach. Vrabel, he's a man's man. All those people, fine. You can have him. But the people who see him every day, that see the team every day, that watch the game every week, we know Vrabel's got his issues. Even my dad thinks Vrabel has his issues. So when I heard that come out of John McClain's mouth today, boy, I tell you. And I'm not saying she should go on a rampage and just fire him like she did the last guy. But the idea that he can do no wrong, give me a break. 615-737-1025. We'll get to your phones. 615-737-1025. And this, by the way, is not an anti-Vrabel thing. I know it's going to sound like it. It is an anti-Vrabel can't do anything wrong take. That's how I feel. 615-737-1025 on Stillman & Company. 615-737-1025. We'll get to your phones. Plus, one former general manager throws out the compensation idea for Vrabel. We'll get to that coming up next. Stillman & Company right here, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Hey, it's Pete Weber. Saturday, the Predators have a midday matchup against the Chicago Blackhawks. Join Max Hers, Jay Moore, and me starting at noon.
Your home for Smashville is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, you're in the red zone for every college rivalry and divisional matchup all season long. On game day, you never have to decide which teams to watch, only what combination of bites, burgers, wings, and more to order. Plus, where else are your favorite draft beers always poured at a frozen 29 degrees? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Get wings the way you want them. Try Twin Peaks wings bone-in breaded, naked, smoked and grilled, or boneless in your favorite sauce or rub.
Willie Donick here for Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. The official brand perception report for doors and windows is in. Pella Windows and Doors are the leading brand among all others. A few reasons why. Pella is regarded as the highest quality, the most innovative, and the installers with Pella of Nashville lead the way for attention to detail. That's why Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville is one of Pella's top locations in the country. For new doors or windows, I suggest you choose the experts at Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. Go to PellaNashville.com.
When Genesis Diamonds has a sale, you know it's the real deal. And it's happening this weekend. Our final store-wide sale of the year with deep discounts up to 35% off. This is the big one, where the staff knows they can break all the rules. Plus, Genesis selection is nearly double. Designers are here from LA and New York with their entire collections on sale. Luxury pre-owned Rolexes are also marked down. All lab-grown diamonds are also included. The last and best jewelry buying opportunity of the year. Save up to 35%. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday only, and only at Genesis Diamonds. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Actor Portrayal, based on a real patient experience.
I'm Mike. I'm a husband, proud father of two, work my butt off 6 days a week, some nights too. When my family or my company needs me to make it happen, I make it happen. But a few months ago, I started having trouble making it happen, in the bedroom. I tried some pills online, but they didn't work. Honestly, I thought about throwing in the towel on my sex life, but I'm not that old. I still want to enjoy intimacy with my wife. Like that poet said, I don't want to just go gently into that good night. So I went to the Tennessee Men's Clinic in Franklin. Got some lab work done, was prescribed some meds, and wow, it made it happen. I can't say enough about them. Their providers took care of me, followed up, and made sure I had a treatment plan that actually works. It's awesome. If I were you, and you're like me, I'd give them a call today, 615-208-9090, or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. If you're like most guys, they'll make it happen for you too.
Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatments extra. Results vary.
Meet Bruce.
Hey there.
He's a busy soccer dad who's trying hard to learn the game.
Go for the end zone.
Whoops. Luckily, other things come easy, like banking with Chase. On a tip from his banker, he set up autosave in the Chase mobile app. So what are you saving for, Bruce?
Father-daughter soccer camp.
Smart bankers, convenient tools. One bank with the power of both. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Autosave requires a Chase checking and savings account. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. J.P. Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
Make sure you subscribe to the Stillman and Company podcast so you never miss a show. We're on Apple, Spotify, and all other major podcast platforms.
This is Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
I got a question for you from David from Nashville on the text
David.
line. He said, I'd like to know if PK thinks that Levis can succeed under Mike Belichick. Watching Mac Jones fall has been sad under Daddy Bill. Do you think that isn't an fair or accurate comparison? Please don't yell at me if you answer this, like Bill O'Brien screamed at Jones.
I think increasingly people are calling Vrabel Belichick. Vrabel is not a Belichick disciple. He never sold himself as that. He's not a guy that came from working under Belichick and cut the sleeves off his hoodie and wore the hood up and did that. He's not Patricia. He's not Charlie Weiss. He's not Eric Mangini. He's none of those guys. And so he might be a little bit of an O'Brien disciple. He's a little bit of a Tomlin disciple or Coward disciple. He's a little bit of a Meyer disciple, though I know he's got some things with Meyer that he really didn't like, but he took some things from there. His high school coach, his dad. He's an amalgamation of a lot of guys, and he's his own guy. He is not a Belichick drone the way people want to paint him.
There you go. That was PK this morning. I got to tell you, I completely disagree. I do believe that, and I think Vrabel doesn't like Belichick. I think maybe there's been a little bit of a mending of offense when Vrabel went into the Hall of Fame because he did shout Bill out. And then he shouted Bill out again, bringing him some luck when he got all mad at me at the press conference. And then he even mentioned Bill yesterday on the coach's show when the kid asked Vrabel about who his coaching influences were. And he talked about being around Bill and Romeo Crennel and those guys in New England. And so that was the first time I think I've ever heard him mention Bill as an influence on him. Because when he got the job, it was like, well, how much? Because this was when Bill was still king. It was like, how much of Bill is in you? And it's like, well, I worked for, I also played for Bill Cowher, and I worked for Urban Meyer and Bill O'Brien, and then Urban Meyer got in trouble, and so then he stopped talking about Urban Meyer. Now he's talking about how Urban Meyer did things he didn't like, which, of course, come on now. But When we talk about how the man runs the program, and I believe this, Ian, that Paul probably just doesn't follow the Patriots as much as I do. Like, Paul doesn't listen to Boston radio every day like I do.
It's probably fair.
Paul didn't work with Floyd every day, who had just come from the Patriots like I did.
Mm-hmm.
I covered the Patriots for a year when I lived in New Hampshire.
Paul's plugged in, though.
He's plugged in, but he doesn't follow it every day. You know what I mean?
Not every day.
Like, again, I listen to Boston radio pretty much every day. Vrabel runs this system just like Belichick. Even the way that he switched the quarterbacks was just like Belichick. We played the cuts from the Brady documentary where Willie McGinnis told the story of how Belichick broke the news to the team that Brady was going to be starting over Bledsoe, and that's exactly the way Vrabel did it, that Levis was going to be starting over Tannehill. He is absolutely a Belichick drone. Now, he may not be, he may not like Belichick. He may not want to follow, he may not want to be the hoodie. But it's kind of like Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker. He is his father.
The Force is too strong.
It is. There's nothing you can do about it.
Especially the evil Force.
There is nothing you can do about it. Not Yoda, not Obi-Wan, not Qui-Gon Jinn, not Samuel L. Jackson. Nobody. The Force is too strong. 615-737-1025. I was going to get to this Randy Mueller thing, but I do want to get to some of your phones. 615-737-1025 on the program. Texter says, I want some insight into the real Vrabel. Look up what Aaron Rodgers said when asked about playing for him. Aaron full-on trolled him and made fun of him because he smoked cigarettes. What do I care about that? What do I care about the fact that Vrabel rips heaters? That is not, who cares? I don't smoke cigarettes, and I know a lot of you out there do, and I'm not judging you. I find the habit to be incredibly disgusting. And not only that, I just have always been anti-smoking cigarettes myself because I remember all the commercials when I was a kid about, how bad it is for you or things like that. Well, I was standing in line at a gas station 6 or 7 years ago. And talk about being ignorant to things that I don't have anything to do with. And this woman in front of me at the gas station got a carton of cigarettes. Ian, do you know how much those cigarettes cost?
A lot.
I'm like, you're paying that kind of money to smoke something that's going to kill you? They're not necessarily going to kill you, but might kill you. That makes your teeth bad, your skin bad, and smells awful? And you're paying for that? Really? And again, it's one thing to pay a little bit for it. The amount that those cigarettes cost, holy smokes. Literally. But, my goodness. So I don't care that Vrabel smokes cigarettes. They ain't none of my business. Texter says, John McClain is not in touch with how Amy feels about Vrabel right now. Dude, all I know is that there is nobody. I will say this about McClain, and I think you should back me up on this, Ian. There is nobody in the media, I think, that is as connected to the Adamses as John McClain is.
It's hard to think of somebody else. It's hard to think of someone more plugged in than John.
Chris in Lewisburg says, I'm 64 years old, and like your dad, after they lost to the Buccaneers, it was the first time I felt like moving on from Vrabel. He has his hand-picked staff, and they looked lost, and so does the team. Again, I want to say after the Steelers game, I was so mad at the coaching because of how they ran the football there at the end before the 4th and 4 shot to Burks. And I was so mad about how they ran the football at the end of the first half to kick the field goal. Now, I think I understand why, but I still don't like it. And I was so mad at the coaching and just the fact that they got bullied by the Steelers in that Thursday nighter. And I'm sitting there and I said, after the game, I'm like, I just don't think that, I just don't know about this coach. My dad was like, well, maybe it's getting to be about time. And on Sunday, my dad watching the game was like, it's time. It's time. It's time to move on from Vrabel. Now, the businessman in me, I don't know if that's the right way to say this, is like, well, you can't do that because you got to trade Vrabel. Like, you got to get the picks in return when it comes to Vrabel because he's just too hot of a commodity for you to just fire him like he's a piece of trash. You know, you got to get those picks for him. But it wouldn't be the end of the world to me if they went out there and they got a freaking great offensive coach with the ball cap and the laminated play sheet and the headset and everything. You know, the skinny guy. Oh, goodness. Oh, the guy that can just draw up those plays that you're like, wow. You know, the Shanahan McVay guy with the line beard. Oh, goodness. That is what I want. Texture says, Vrabel's a good coach. However, he needs to figure out why they seem to win at home, but he looks like a bad coach on the road. If he can figure out that in time, they may make the playoffs with Levis. They can lose one game the rest of the way in order to make the playoffs. Who thinks that the Tennessee Titans are going 7-1 down the stretch? Any takers? Anybody? Raise your hands. Nope. Okay. Let's just be real. Texture says, if the Titans were to trade Vrabel, when are they able to do so? Would they have to wait until after the Super Bowl? Curious to see how that would affect the candidate pool instead of firing during or immediately following the regular season. I think they could do it right after the regular season. I don't know. You know, in this article that I teased that we will get to, Randy Mueller of The Athletic, or Randy Mueller, former GM, said that the league may frown on the idea of a bidding war with draft picks for a coach. And I'm like, why? Don't frown on that. Embrace it. Because that's what I want. I want a bidding war for the coach. I want to get as many picks as you can for the coach. And then I'm going to turn around and hire Bobby Slovic. And I'm fine with that. Like, that's what I want. Texture says, Belichick without Tom Brady is Jeff Fisher. That's Vrabel, all right. I don't know if I should say this on the air or not. I'll just tell you, a friend of mine, Ian, Sean from Thompson Station, he was texting me earlier today, and he said, I'd give anything to have Belichick be the coach.
Oh, boy.
I'm like, dude, Bill's lost it. And my friend, Sean from Thompson Station, was like, no, you're crazy. I'm like, dude, your dad would be so proud of you right now, but that's the only person that would agree with you.
I don't know about the only.
He would be proud of you, though, for that opinion.
He would.
He would. 615-737. What's will join us next? We'll get his thoughts on Vrabel, Levis, the Titans, where they go from here. And, of course, we will do that next here on Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Every day we are live and local.
You need to give Ryan Tannehill a 2-year extension.
There haven't been too many coaching changes for the Predators. And your source for Nashville sports.
I think that's what the Titans need.
Players who can score. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
It's the Electronic Express Black Friday Savings Marathon. Every Sunday means hot new deals. Get the gifts you want and save up to 50% throughout the entire store. Get a TCL 65-inch 4K TV now only $349, plus other hot deals. At Electronic Express, dream big, pay small with up to 36 months special financing on deals like a Frigidaire kitchen package only $15.99 or a Microsoft Surface Pro 9 now only $8.99. Shop the Black Friday Savings Marathon at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Whether you drink it neat, in a cocktail, or like our boys at Bridgestone, on ice, Blue Note Bourbon hits all the right notes. From the ever-popular Blue Note Juke Joint to our fabled Blue Note Crossroads. It doesn't matter if you're watching the Preds at a bar or just hanging at home. Our double gold medal winning, hand-bottled, straight bourbon whiskey always sounds like a good time is about to be had. Blue Note Bourbon. Take note. Sip responsibly.
Need cash for the holidays or want to be credit card debt free for the new year? Call Loan Pronto today. Their Express Equity line of credit could get you $20, $50, $100,000 in as little as 5 days. Willie Donick here. Listen up. You've got a ton of equity in your home, and Loan Pronto can help turn that equity into cash to put it to use. You can access up to 95% of your home's value. Use the money to pay off all your credit cards or pay off personal loans. Start the home improvement project you've been looking for. You can get the money you need now and still keep your primary mortgage intact, so your 3% rate is protected. Call right now, 615-499-5780. Get the holiday cash you need or pay off all those credit cards. 615-499-5780 or go online at loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Houston Clinic Orthopedics wants to thank their patients for voting them the #1 orthopedic practice in the Nashville Scene Poll for 3 years in a row. Their physicians specialize in spine, joint replacement, knee, hip, upper extremity, and other orthopedic conditions. At Houston Clinic Orthopedics, they adhere to all CDC guidelines for the patient's and staff safety. To experience world-class orthopedic care and see a list of all physicians, visit their website at tn.houston.com and book your appointment online today.
Your company's hiring. Who isn't? We would love to show you how to use 1025 The Game to attract and retain employees. We can also help you find the exact person you're looking for with a targeted digital campaign. You can trust our team to help you build your team. Email us at together@cromwellmedia.com.
You've heard of AI. We want you to know that some messages and content we broadcast is produced using AI. All content produced or written with AI is supervised by our staff before airing. AI is only a tool for all of us, and we use it for that purpose. You can be assured that we will not use AI in any way that is unworthy of your trust.
Are you always on the go? We've got you covered. Download the Game Nashville app from your app store and listen to us wherever you are.
Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexroad.
It's Chase McKay.
Caroline, Willie, D-Mays.
Stillman Company.
We are Nashville's best sports talk.
Good station. I listen to it all the time.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, this is Pekka Rinne. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Stone & Company, a reminder, Barry Trotz will join us in about an hour after Jared versus Joe. Was traveling yesterday, was not able to join us on the program. We got a lot of talking to do with Barry. We'll do that in the next hour, so be listening for that. But Jason Fitz joins us now on the program. Jason, things are not going well, Fitzy, when it comes to Titan World. The team stinks. The offensive line is terrible. The receivers can't catch. They just got beat by Tampa in a game that wasn't a blowout, but kind of felt like the Titans were helpless in that game on Sunday. The young quarterback's taking a pounding. And who knows about the coach? And I think the fans here are kind of sick of him, but everybody tells us he's great. What do we make of the state of the Titans?
I think everything you just said there is the frustrating part of what you see from bad organizations right now. Like, you can make the argument, everybody wants to talk about the fact that there aren't 32 starting quarterbacks starting in the NFL right now, especially because of injury. But bigger picture, there aren't 32 starting left tackles in the NFL. There aren't 32 starting right tackles in the NFL that are worthy of starting. Like, offensive line play is bad, and the bad teams right now are the teams that don't have a good offensive line, don't have the weapons, and that they're asking too much to try and get their quarterback if they think they're capable of elevating past it. Like, the Titans looked like most bad teams looked on Sunday. They looked like a team that's simply incapable of generating anything because they don't have the necessary talent to do so. And there's not an easy fix. Like, a bad coach, by the way, easy fix. Fire a coach, fire everybody up, easy fix. What do you do if you look around and say, man, this organization right now needs 3 or 4 new offensive linemen, needs 2 new wide receivers? Like, you start adding up that list, like, you can't replace more than 5 starters, 6 starters viably in one offseason. So if that number's bigger than that, now you're in the middle of at least a 2-year rebuild. So, like, they got to figure out how to get the most in development to see if they have the necessary pieces. But it certainly looked like they were outmanned on Sunday.
So when it comes to the Titans and when it comes to Vrabel, and I think you would be a good person to ask about this, because I think locally here we recognize that Vrabel's done some good things, but we know his warts as a coach, right? Like, we know that he's not very good when it comes to managing the coaching staff and hiring assistants. We know that he's kind of arrogant. We know that, again, like, we're all worried that he's going to ruin the quarterback and that he's certainly not perfect. We talk to somebody outside of Nashville, and it is every time the exact same, oh, Vrabel, he's so great. Where's the truth in this?
Yeah, I think the truth is that people like him. Like, just being brutally honest, because I've asked this question of national insiders, reporters, people at ESPN when I was there, people outside of ESPN now that I'm not there. And I ask the question constantly, why is Vrabel so liked? Well, he's just got that thing. Okay, well, what does that mean as a coach? Like, what is Mike Vrabel doing as a coach that warrants the reputation Mike Vrabel has as a coach? I can't get a solid answer from anybody I respect on that. Like, I think that you're right. The things that you mentioned that are failings, though, are substantial. Like, not being able to bring in the right coordinators is the sort of thing that gets a head coach fired. There is no nice way to say that. Like, up and down the line, when you've got a young quarterback, you better be bringing in the people that can develop that young quarterback from day one to get the best out of that young quarterback. Like, these are the things. It's the reason that Frank Reich is sitting here trying to prove that he still deserves his job halfway through one season. And realistically, what are we saying about Carolina? They got a young quarterback, but they have no pass protection in front of him and no weapons to catch the ball, so we can't evaluate the young quarterback, and maybe we don't have the right coach. Like, how is that conversation any different than the Vrabel conversation? I don't have an answer for you because I don't think it is. Like, I think this whole concept of Mike Vrabel is going to be a franchise-saver coach and waiting for the Patriots, I was presented that a couple of weeks ago. And my follow-up question was based on what? Like, what is the proof that Mike Vrabel is the guy that will turn around and suddenly be a godsend to an organization? I don't know. I mean, I think what you've got is somebody people like and players like playing for a certain style of player. And that's great. But I don't think that translates to some Hall of Fame career.
Fitz, one thing that I was wondering when I look at these, draft rankings, because apparently that's where, as Titan fans, we have to look now. The Titans are slated to pick 8th, and I believe the Rams at 3 and 6 are slated to pick 7th. Is Sean McVay coming under any heat, or is it because he won a Super Bowl, or is it because he's a nicer guy, or is it because he runs an offense? Because I don't think McVay's coming under any heat, is he?
No, he's not coming under any heat for a couple of reasons. One, he won the Super Bowl, and two, there is this, McVay tree, right? Everybody talks about the brilliance of the offenses from anybody that's ever been around Sean McVay. Now, I think that's overblown, but that has led to some level of respect, like he's a savant, So I think part of that is, again, street reputation on that. But if you're McVay, because you won that Super Bowl, people give you a ton. And then there's been production at times from the thing that he's really good at, right? So offensive coaches that have good offenses get a little bit of benefit of the doubt from everybody. And the early season explosion of Puka Nacua and things like that, that's never just credited to Puka Nacua. It's always, oh, look at what Sean McVay is able to do with this guy nobody's ever heard of. Like, that's the way that conversation goes. There's a lot of love that goes to Sean McVay based on reputation, but in part because he won that Super Bowl and in part because of how he's looked in the process of being able to get his offense to play. So, no, I don't think he's on the hot seat, but I also don't think that, we're that far away from that if he has a couple of years like he's having right now.
Jason Fitz is with us, Yahoo Sports, Fox Sports Radio. Fitz, when it comes to Will Levis, how much of a fear is there that this offensive line and lack of receiving options is going to get him killed and ruined?
I don't think it'll kill him. I think his confidence has got to stay high. Like, we've talked about this a lot, and I'm going to keep hammering this point home. I think his confidence has got to be sky high for me to feel confident in him in this situation, right? So how do you keep his confidence if he's getting absolutely hammered constantly? That is tricky, right? So I don't worry about him necessarily being ruined or killed back there, but I do think mentally it can get into you. And then this is one. Right? So if in the process of avoiding all of the pressure that comes with the fact that he has no offensive line in front of him, bad fundamentals are developed, those bad fundamentals could take a very long time to break. So I worry about that portion having long-lasting effect. But most importantly, like, organizationally, man, this is an important time. You got to see exactly who Will Levis is. Can you see that when he's running for his life and when he can't trust most of the receivers around him? I don't know. Like, I want the Titans to get a clear, decisive answer on their young quarterback because I think it's important, right? But I don't know that you can get that with this group the way it is right now.
I don't think there's any way to do that, right? I mean, he throws a ball out there for Nick Westbrook-Akine, and it goes right through his hands, and it would have been a 35-yard gain. He throws a ball on 2nd and 14 for Chig Okonkwo right at the sticks, and Chig drops it, and he throws a ball in the end zone for Chig, and the ball goes up in the air and almost gets intercepted. It should have been a touchdown, and it's like, it's one thing to have one drop and say, well, if this hadn't happened, then that would have happened. But when you've got 3, 4, 5 drops in a game like that, or they're going to put Vita Vea, their best player, on your worst player, Andre Dillard, how do you sit there and evaluate the young quarterback knowing that, again, if everybody else just did their job, it could be a totally different game? And the reason I say that, Fitz, is because it'd be very easy to say, well, all those things happened, so actually Levis is good. But I don't know that either. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, by the way, I've always given you a hard time when your takes are too hot. You know that. Anybody that knows our friendship knows that. Sure. What you just said is the most accurate thing anybody could ever say about Will Levis. And the hardest part about it is that next year, depending on where they're picking in the draft, they could be picking where they have a shot at the 3rd or 4th quarterback in next year's draft. And what you don't want to do, no matter where you drafted Will Levis this year, you do not want to pass on a quarterback next year if you don't have the guy and you think that the one that you need is right there in front of you. How do you make that evaluation if you haven't put yourself in the situation to make that evaluation? That is what is wildly frustrating about, like, every single game that you come out of with an incomplete rating for Will Levis right now from a staff point, when you look at the film and when you watch it back, every single game that he comes out with an incomplete is a fail by the organization to be able to properly evaluate their quarterback. And that is the sort of fail that will haunt you for 10 years. You cannot get it wrong. And that's why this is such a waste right now with Will Levis.
Jason Fitz is our guest here on the program. Fitz, do you think that the Patriots are actually going to come after Mike Vrabel?
No, I really don't. I understand the beloved atmosphere around it. I have a hard time believing that that's going to be the other part of it too. I was talking to one former Patriot the other day, and the former Patriot who works for ESPN that I'm friends with said, man, I'm not sure a lot of former Patriots want to walk in that building and be the former Patriot that replaces Belichick. I think that there's a lot more emotional attachment than people realize to the people that played for Belichick and Belichick. So I think that also adds a complication to it. But no, I think that realistically they're going to have to do their best to get away from the Belichick, like the Patriot way, and start over completely if they're going to start over.
Fitz, how much, and I'm going to put Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud together, how much of Bryce Young's failure and C.J. Stroud's success is based on the organizations, where the Panthers have a bad owner, a bad coach, no line, no receivers. The Texans have a good young coach with a Shanahan disciple offensive coordinator, with a $30 million left tackle, a $20 million left guard. They got him 3 new receivers in the offseason. They got him a tight end in Dalton Schultz. I mean, the Texans have the 5th highest payroll in the NFL. They put their money where their mouth was. How much of the failure of Bryce Young is an organizational issue, and how much of the success of Stroud is organizational, and how much of it is Stroud's better than Young?
I think 75% of it's organizational. I genuinely believe that. Like, I think, look, Bryce Young had his failings come out of the draft. The one failing that I heard from him before he got drafted was that he struggled to communicate pass protection to the offensive linemen at Alabama, and that's been an issue for him in the pros too. He needs to work through that. You also aren't giving him a lot of help to figure out how to work through that, right? So I think so much of that is organizational and structure. And then even go back to the draft. Like you mentioned the new weapons around C.J. Stroud. Well, C.J. Stroud had spent much of the time in draft prep throwing to Tank Dell and knew him well. And specifically went to the team and said, I want to throw to Tank Dell. And they said, okay. Like, I think that there is some element of organizations that have it together. And look, the Texans had it wrong for a very long time. They cleaned house. They got it right this time. I mean, I think that all leads to one thing. Like, it is organizational around a quarterback if you want to insulate the quarterback and make sure that quarterback can be successful. Organizations fail quarterbacks more often than quarterbacks fail organizations. Trevor Lawrence is another example of that. Like, you can do so much damage that's so hard to undo.
Last one for you. The offensive coordinator in Houston, Bobby Slowick, is there any chance that he doesn't get a job this hiring cycle?
No, he's definitely going to get a job. Like, I think he's going to get a job, and so is Ben Johnson. Like, I think, and that's one of the difficulties you have when you hire a defensive coach. If you hire a defensive coach, one of your problems is that if they get a good offensive coordinator, they're going to be replacing that good offensive coordinator every couple of years because that's just the way it works. So we're going to have to see, are they able to rebuild that staff over and over and over again? But yeah, I don't think there's any chance, especially considering the fact that C.J. Stroud is going to literally get MVP votes. There is no chance in my mind that he's not going to be a head coach somewhere.
Jason Fitz, almost said it. Fox Sports Radio, Yahoo Sports.
I say it sometimes too.
Do you really?
Yeah, I do. Every once in a while, I slip up on it.
There you go. Joining us on the program, as always. Fitz, great stuff. Appreciate your time, bud.
Appreciate you, brother.
Yep, Jason Fitz, as always, joining us on the program. So there is some new news in the Connor Stalions Michigan buying iPhone story. We'll get to that coming up next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Blue Raider football lives on 93.3 Classic Hits.
Hey, it's Big Joe. Chip Walters and I will have the call this Saturday as MTSU wraps up their home schedule against UTEP. Our coverage begins at 12:30.
Your home for the Blue Raiders is 93.3 Classic Hits.
When the festive bells ring and everyone gathers round, make sure your home's ready for it. From flickering lights to chilly nights to busted pipes, Lee Company is here to help. Heating, air conditioning, plumbing, electrical, or any fix-up you need, we've got the experts ready. Head over to leecompany.com. That's leecompany.com. Remember, Lee Company, all you need, so you can enjoy the holidays worry-free.
I have to confess, I was very excited to call 911. Finally, a good one, and I realize that while what I'm about to say is true, it sounds suspicious. So I'm like, my wife fell down the stairs.
From his multiple Netflix specials, comedian Tom Segura brings his new tour, Come Together, to Bridgestone Arena Friday, April 12th. Tickets on sale Friday at 10 a.m. at Ticketmaster.com.
Hey, let me tell you about Nashville newcomer Black Tap Craft Burgers and Beers in downtown Nashville. Black Tap features award-winning craft burgers, wings, salads, Instagram-famous Crazy Shake milkshakes, and kicking cocktails. Also, enjoy Black Tap's game day offer during NFL and college games and score your choice of wings with All-American Burger, plus a pint of beer for only $15. Happy hour starts from 4 to 7, and it's rocking. Go check out Black Tap downtown for its next-level craft food and drink, unmatched fun, throwback vibe, and awesome people. Hey, discounted parking is also available.
Genesis Diamond's biggest and last sale of the year is here this weekend. It's an extraordinary event with savings up to 35% store-wide. Rings, earrings, pendants, bands, bracelets, nothing's held back for this once-a-year 3-day store-wide event. Acclaimed designers are here with expanded collections and special pricing. Plus, get 0% interest financing. Luxury pre-owned Rolexes included. Lab-grown diamonds included. It's this Friday, Saturday, and yes, even open Sunday for this incredible event. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Are you ready to make a difference for the environment while helping the visually impaired at the same time? Then donate your vehicle to Heritage for the Blind today by calling 1-800-983-6530. Every donated vehicle will either be properly recycled in an eco-friendly manner or given a new life through reuse. Donating your vehicle is easy. Simply call 1-800-983-6530 and Heritage for the Blind will do the rest. They'll even arrange for your vehicle to be picked up at no cost to you. And for a limited time, when you donate your car, you'll receive a $200 restaurant voucher and a 2-night, 3-day hotel stay at one of 50 locations. Call 1-800-983-6530 right now to schedule your vehicle donation and make a positive impact on the environment while helping others. Heritage for the Blind, where every car donation counts and every person makes a difference. Call 1-800-983-6530 now. This advertisement is paid for by Heritage for the Blind.
Keeping it local.
But do you trust? No, I don't trust him at all. But no, you're right.
And fun.
Can I ask you a question? You just did, but yeah.
Every day.
Catch you on the flippity flip.
It's Chase McKay.
No, like it can be displayed.
And Big Joe Dubin.
And they call me Joel Dooley.
The Chase and Big Joe Show. Brought to you by Regal Realty Group. Weekdays at 9 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Tap that app. Download the Game Nashville app on your smartphone so you can listen to Stillman and Company on the go.
This is Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Do you think the suspension of Jim Harbaugh was appropriate by the Big Ten?
Not yet. I think Michigan is right that due process needed more time to play out. There's a lot of information out there, a lot of evidence that makes it pretty clear, if not conclusive, but certainly pretty clear that the allegations that they did advanced scouting with electronic means. There's a paper trail about it. That seems to be true, right? But Michigan needs to have a chance to say their side of the story relative to that. And then there's a second part of it, because if we assume that it's true that they did the advanced scouting and used electronic means in order to steal signs, then the question is, did it get onto the field in terms of a competitive advantage at the coordinator level where they actually used these signs stolen to be able to implement play calls, which gave them that advantage in the game? So I didn't hear anything from the Big Ten about whether or not they come to a conclusion about that. And so to me, the investigation is not done yet. It's premature.
There you go. That was Trevor yesterday on the show. We got more news. Another nook and cranny here, Ian, of the Michigan sign stealing scandal.
Uh-oh, Connor Stalions bringing out all the skeletons and the vacuums, huh?
Here you go. This is from the AP. Connor Stalions, according to the AP, did not file any expense reports during the 17 months he was formally employed by the football program, according to the school.
Good employee.
Does that make you a good employee? I mean,
Well,
I don't think you're a bad employee if you're filing expense reports.
Well,
I mean, I'll say it like
unless
here,
you're a heavy spender.
Like here, there's like a lot of things, like little side things that pay for this, pay for that I could expense and I don't expense it because I just don't want to go through the process of filling out the paperwork. But if it was like, $2,000 for somebody to go fly to go tape a game, I mean, I'm definitely filing that. The AP filed a Freedom of Information FOIA request for Stalions' expense reports while he was employed from May of 2022 through November of 2023. There are no responsive records. Patricia Sellinger, Chief Freedom of Information Officer at the school, replied in an email sent Wednesday. The NCAA has documented plans and budget information outlining the scouting scheme for Michigan opponents, and the Big Ten has received those materials. The NCAA also shared evidence with the Big Ten and the university that showed Stalions purchased tickets to games and had people sit in those seats to obtain video of the sideline signals. So basically, Stalions was making $55,000 a year and didn't file an expense report for the money that he spent for this sign stealing operation. Well, now I don't know what to think, right? Because at $55,000 a year, there's no way Connor Stalions is paying for all this stuff, right? Almost slipped there. There's no way he's paying for this stuff, right? Tickets to these games and plane tickets and hotels and for all the Big Ten teams are going to play, all the possible playoff teams, there is no way he's paying for that. Right, Ian?
I wouldn't.
Let's just rule that out right now.
I mean, that seems like a lot of money over the years.
But the Michigan budget does not show that it's paying for that. Well, that only means one thing, right?
Little under the table money?
It's either it's a coach. It's either a coach or a booster or something. It's somebody's paying for this.
Mm-hmm.
This is the mafia. Follow the money. And as many different, shell corporations and, this legal laundering business here for this and this is going to sound crazy. I am obsessed with the mafia. I don't think you guys know that because I don't talk about it very often. Did you know that, Ian?
I don't know about obsessed, but I know you like those movies.
I read book it's crazy because I'm not a violent person, so I don't like movies where people get killed, and I don't like the stories of how people die or things like that. Every time I'm always covering my eyes. Last year I got drugged to that Viking movie with Nicole Kidman in it, and I was like, oh dear God, I couldn't. I mean, I don't do that stuff. But when it comes to the inner workings of the mafia, I am addicted to it. I'll watch a documentary. I'll read a book. All of it. Well, the way it works in the mafia is ultimately It's a maze to figure out where the money's coming from and where the money's going. But eventually, once the feds follow the money and they get somebody to flip, then it's like they've got you every time. So when it came to Michigan and the sign stealing scandal, I figured just follow the money. You know, wherever the money's coming from, that's going to be what leads you to Harbaugh one way or another. That's what's going to lead you to the person that's in charge of this. If it's not Harbaugh and it's one of Harbaugh's lieutenants who then on purpose made sure that Harbaugh didn't know, then at least we know who it is that's orchestrating the crime. But there's no way that, you know, a made man like Stalions, there's no way at $55,000 a year. I mean, he's a soldier. He's not an underboss. He's not a capo.
$55,000 a year. You can't afford that kind of stuff.
Right. He's one of the street guys in the mafia. He's not up into the chain. So you know somebody is financing that operation. So whoever is financing the operation is the one who is running the show. And then that's probably your connection to Harbaugh that probably, you know, insulates Harbaugh from all of this. Where it's like, oh, Harbaugh didn't know, hands over the ears, la, 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 la. But again, that's done on purpose. But then we know who it is. But we got to find out where that money came from somehow. I mean, and the other thing about the NCAA and the Big Ten is Connor Stalions doesn't work for Michigan anymore. So he doesn't have to turn state's witness, and he's not going to, turn state's witness on Michigan. And they can't coerce him to do this, right? Like the NCAA is not the Justice Department. So he may not have to turn over his bank records, he probably won't, that will tell us where he's getting the money from. But he's obviously not getting it from the school directly. Which is crazy to me.
No paper trails.
Crazy to me. Wild to me. And then the more that this goes this route of, you know, how just underground these tunnels are in terms of how Michigan went about running this operation, the more it feels like they knew they were doing something wrong. It's like the more it feels like they're guilty of cheating. When everybody's like, you know, I heard Charles Woodson on the Fox show the other day, and he was like, you know, you're talking about people going to the game with their iPhones. Everybody goes to the game with their iPhones. I go, oh, God, here comes the everybody does it excuse. But they knew they were cheating. I talked to a coach the other day, and this came up in our conversation, and he was like, I've never heard of that. He's like, I've never heard of sending people to stadiums to scout the signals. He's like, we sit there and have GAs watch the TV copy every week so that they can decipher the signals from that. He's like, we don't send people. There's no reason to do that. I actually asked him, I was like, have you ever felt as a play caller? Have you ever felt like you got before? He's like, every time that you call like a deep shot and they drop guys back, you wonder, did I get got? Like you think about it. He was telling me, he's like, I think about it every time that happens of like, do they have me? Are they onto my signals? But he's like, yeah, you know, it's not the idea of everybody does this, sending people out there. Absolutely not. So again, that's the latest, that Connor Stalions did not file any expense reports at Michigan. So I don't know, man. This is wild. Joe will join us for Jared versus Joe and Barry Trotz in the next hour as well. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106 The Game.
Levis, too long in the pocket, and Vita Vea with the sack.
The Titans are 3-6 after losing to the Bucks.
I'm worried this is stunting the growth of the big picture here.
Can they rebound against Jacksonville?
You're not winning if the offensive line continues to play the way they have been playing.
Keep it locked to Nashville's best Titans talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Time for the Preds Report.
Presented by Newton Nissan.
The Predators and the Ducks were 0-0 heading into the second period. Predators had a late power play from the first that carried over. Shortly after that expired, Nashville finally got on the board. Predators maintained possession in the offensive zone. Get the puck back out by the blue line. Here's O'Reilly, left circle, Carrier, his shot, and that one ends up in the net with Forsberg in front. So a carryover, not officially a power play goal, but deflected in by establishing net puck presence. Philip Forsberg got credit for it, his 7th of the year from Carrier and O'Reilly. They later made the lead 2-0, but the Ducks scored the last 3 and took the game 3-2. Up next Saturday afternoon against Chicago.
All the best car deals in Smashville start at Newton Nissan. Visit them at Newton Nissan of Gallatin or Newton Nissan South in Shelbyville.
This is Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
For over a century, local broadcasting has evolved with the needs of the community. We move past the stigmas of opinion journalism and bring the most relevant news online, on air, and on the go. You have trusted us with your news, sports, weather, and entertainment. Trust us to keep moving with you. Text radio to 52886 and tell Congress local broadcasting is here to stay.
In this market, you'll find Fisher Investments is different than other money managers.
Different how? Aren't we all just looking for the hottest stocks?
Nope. We use diversified strategies to position our clients' portfolios for their long-term goals.
You don't just provide cookie-cutter portfolios?
No. We tailor our clients' portfolios to their goals and needs.
But you still sell investments that generate high commissions for you, right?
No, we don't sell commission-based products. We're a fiduciary, the highest standard of care for a financial advisor. It means we're obligated to act in our client's best interest.
So when do you make more money? Only when your clients make more money?
Yep. We have one transparent management fee structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Sounds like you really look out for your clients.
We do, because our priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. That might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
This year, Staples will not be celebrating the holidays. Instead, we're celebrating the holiday deals with amazing savings for the holiday season. Save 50% on custom holiday cards, save 50% on custom invitations, and save 50% on custom photo gifts like mugs and calendars. During Staples holiday deals, it's not about the ho ho ho, it's about saving dough. Save 50% on custom cards, invitations, and photo gifts today at Staples. Ends 12/16. Visit staples.com/print for more details.
Now, your Game Center update.
The Tennessee Titans were back on the practice field today as they begin preparations for Jacksonville this week. Quarterback Will Levis spoke about the challenge of trying to develop while facing pressure up front.
Just keeping your wits about you. Just staying within the game plan. You can't let some of those factors determine like how you're going to think about a play or your process. Obviously, there's some times where there are answers that you can kind of turn to if there is a pressure, whether we're not picking it up or it's coming a little faster. So just keeping your wits about you and keeping and instilling confidence in those guys up front.
Wide receiver Traylon Burks and offensive lineman Andre Dillard did not practice today. Offensive lineman Daniel Brunskill, defensive back Sean Murphy-Bunting, and defensive back Anthony Kendall were listed as limited. Titans versus Jags kicks off at noon on Sunday. In other NFL news, Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson is having season-ending surgery on a broken bone in his shoulder. The Nashville Predators blew another 2-goal lead last night and lost to Anaheim 3-2. They'll have a few days to regroup as they return to action on Saturday versus Chicago. Join us for tonight's edition of Smashville Live from Brewhouse 100 in Bellevue, coming up at 6 o'clock. Goalies UC Saros and Kevin Lankinen will join Max Hers and Jay Moore for our fun hour of Preds talk. And Vanderbilt women's basketball takes on Western Kentucky tonight. Pre-game coverage starts at 6:15 on 94.9 The Fan. From the Game Nashville studios, this is Ian Safar.
Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3.
79-52 Vanderbilt.
I think he's going to coach up by Sarah.
You're going to see more moves.
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff. You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and The Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. Jared versus Joe, as always, 5 o'clock is up next. By the way, Barry Trotz will join us later this hour as well. Caroline, hello.
Hello, how we doing?
Outstanding. Joseph Robinette Rexroad Jr., a.k.a. Joey Stackhouse. If we were in the mob, he'd be Joey Stacks. Joey Stacks is with us. Hello, Joseph.
Hello. How
Let's go right to Jared versus Joe.
Jared Stillman versus Joe Rexroad. Now on Stillman and Company.
On ESPN.
102.5 The Game.
Jared versus Joey Stacks is presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville.
Or as we should call it, perhaps, maybe gorgeous Jared Stillman versus Joey Stackhouse Rexroad, as we're now affectionately called, I guess.
Yes, I guess.
All right, Jared, you go first. So John McClain said that Amy Adams-Strunk would not fire Vrabel or let Vrabel go to the Patriots because she just likes him that much. Is it wrong to believe in Vrabel that much as a coach?
Yes. It is wrong to think that Vrabel is without fault. Like, it is wrong, I think, to believe that Mike Vrabel is infallible as the Titans coach. Like, Vrabel's a good coach, but he definitely has his warts. And if the shelf life with Peter Laviolette is a real thing, I think the shelf life with Vrabel might be a thing. But the way John McClain said it on Chase and Big Joe today was like, oh, yeah, she'll never do anything. She wouldn't even let him go to the Patriots because she thinks he's such a great coach. And I'm like, he's not that good of a coach. He's a good coach, but he's not that good of a coach that none of this, the last year that we've had to endure of football that he's not culpable at least a little bit for some of it. And, I probably wouldn't be thinking about firing Vrabel. I would absolutely be thinking about trading Vrabel if I were her. So, yeah, I think it's a little ridiculous for John McClain to tell us that she would not consider either.
So, Caroline, just give me that again. Because I didn't hear it. Give me the exact quote again.
So John McClain said that Amy Adams-Strunk wouldn't fire Vrabel and she wouldn't let Vrabel go to the Patriots because he believes that she just likes him that much.
And your question is
it wrong to believe in Vrabel that much?
Yeah, see, I don't. So like the way Jared said it, Vrabel is not infallible. Of course, I agree with that. I don't think Vrabel's infallible. I think Vrabel has faults. And, I think he's still learning as a coach, too. And maybe some of that is a little bit more seeking outside, fresh eyes and opinions and things like that in terms of staff. And, look, I don't think he's perfect by any means. Is it wrong for her to believe in him that much? I think I'm going to disagree with Jared. I don't think it's wrong. I still think that the preponderance of evidence on Vrabel is very positive, and he's obviously done a lot of good things. Yeah, I would say so. Obviously, it's just kind of how much you want to put on him for this, for this 16-game stretch, 3-13 stretch. Certainly some. I don't put none on him. I give him some blame, of course, but yeah, I would say overall very positive. Yeah, and. It's one of those things, like if you're Amy Adams-Strunk, and I understand the easy counter to this is you did the same thing with John Robinson and fired him, but if you showed as much faith as you did in Vrabel when you gave him the extension in 2022, you better believe in him that much, right? I think that...
Do you believe in him as much as you did in 2022? Because I know I don't.
No. I'd agree with that. But I still don't think it's wrong to believe in him enough to not want to move on from him. And that's really what you're asking, right? You're asking, is it wrong? If you're asking what Jared answered, which is, do you think he's perfect or faultless, or do you have the same level of confidence even than a year ago? I would say no to all those things. Is it wrong for her to believe in him to the point that she doesn't want to move on from him? No.
Wouldn't even trade him?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, now with the trade him thing, give me the terms, okay? Because, like, at some point, I would agree with you that, like, I mean, there's no coach in this league that's so valuable that you wouldn't take a ridiculous haul, okay? But I need to know what that is. So I would not be – I mean, firing him would be idiotic. We can agree on that, right? That would be stupid.
Yes.
There's completely senseless.
Even though he does drive me crazy and I want an offensive coach, but yes.
But trading him, I think that she should get on a call and talk it through, of course. And if it's going to be something silly – well, I mean, yeah, you can, most coaching hires don't work out. It's something always worth pointing out here. But if you're going to be able to improve your roster dramatically through this move, then I think then you would have to consider it.
I'd argue this coaching hire right now is not working out. And that is, sometimes these things just run their course. Caroline, What's next?
All right.
Hold on, but real quick then. So you then are putting this more on coaching than anything else.
For me, I certainly think coaching. Like, again, when it comes to like what the owner should do, I don't know what the financial restraints she's put on them have been. I don't know if there's any or if there's a lot. I have no idea, which is a big part of this equation. Like, how much has she told them they're not allowed to spend? That is important. At the same time, the free agents they brought in have all sucked. They drafted a guard with the 11th overall pick and a quarterback in the second round, which doesn't make any sense to me. Like, that thought process seems to be completely incompetent. I don't see any argument for that. They refuse to play the guard at tackle, though I think I understand why. I think that if you got a guy with that slow of feet, then you don't take that guy 11th overall. They didn't get a tight end to back up Chig in case Chig couldn't make the jump in year 2 and Chig can't make the jump. I mean, I certainly think that Vrabel has screwed up a lot, and I think Vrabel's terrible. I think Vrabel is 33% when it comes to the coaching staff. Like, he really, he's got some real crap bums that he's hired over the years on the coaching staff, and that drives me crazy too.
Okay, next one. Joe, you go first. Should we be worried about the Titans ruining Will Levis?
Worried. I would not say worried. But this is something that I think Jared and I will easily argue over because he's big. I mean, Jared thinks the Colts ruined Andrew Luck, which, I mean, I think
they forced him into an early retirement 5 years into the league.
Yeah, but again, they forced him into it. They ruined him.
Their offensive line got him hurt, and he had the surgeries, and he didn't want to come back because he had gotten hurt because of their line.
Again, you can go through the history of the NFL. You can find some quarterbacks who somehow managed to play behind really good offensive lines the whole time and never get hurt and not get hit much. I mean,
can you find me a great quarterback who had a terrible offensive line and terrible receivers?
And terrible receivers?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't think Andrew Luck had terrible receivers, did he? Did he have terrible? I mean, T.Y. Hilton's pretty freaking good, man.
Yeah.
That guy had a run in this league.
Right. So they even had T.Y. Hilton, and they had the tight end from Stanford that he threw to all the time, and Reggie Wayne, and they still ruined him. My point is, we're talking about, hey, some quarterbacks have made it with bad lines, but Levis has got bad lines and bad receivers.
Look, the point on Luck is, to me, there are plenty of quarterbacks under the same conditions who would not have retired. Hey, look, all due respect to him, that's his choice. But you're acting like he was in intensive care and he had no choice. I mean, he decided he picked health. That's fine. But, I think they ruined him. I don't think that's an accurate way to frame it. And as far as worried the Titans are going to ruin Levis, I really would not worry about that. the worst thing would be if he has a serious injury this year, and that is possible. So they've got to do all they can to protect him, of course, whatever that may be. Brable was asked about moving the pocket more today, but he talked about you can't do it like all the time, but whatever, get the ball out faster, whatever it may be. You have to think about that beyond just trying to win each week. Now you have to think about his health and his well-being. But you know what? It's also I think he'll be fine, like mentally. I think we've already seen him show a lot of courage standing in there, and he's taken a ton of hits. What is he taking? 24 hits in 3 games. I mean, it's immediately into the frying pan or into the fire out of the frying pan, whatever you want to say. And he's handled it well. So I'm not worried about that. I think it's a real extreme example, and few and far between in this league, where that stuff quote unquote ruined a quarterback. I mean, just most quarterbacks just aren't as good as everybody was hoping they would be when they're drafted.
Okay. Yes, I am worried they're going to ruin the quarterback. Paul said this on your show, Joe, that when Tannehill got hurt in the London game, he said it was inevitable with the offensive line that was in front of him that he was going to end up on crutches at some point, just like he had the year before, whether it was in Nashville, in America, or in London. There was going to be a game in the locker room with Tannehill on crutches. And I think it is inevitable that if Will Levis keeps getting hit the way he's been hit this year, he will get hurt. People talk about, well, he's used to this from Kentucky. Right. And guess what happened to him last year at Kentucky? He got hurt. Not only
did that ruin him? Was he ruined?
I mean, he fell out of the first round because of it. And not only that.
You've seen him play this year. Did it ruin him?
When it comes to Levis, right, they've given him no receivers either. I mean, he has a touchdown that goes right into the tight end's hands and almost pops into the air and gets intercepted because the tight end can't catch. He throws a beautiful bomb to the wide receiver, and it goes right through his hands because he stinks. I mean, the truth is, this team, and then we haven't even gotten to the coaching, which we know that Vrabel is not an offensive coach, and I do like Tim Kelly, but Vrabel's, his offensive line coach, the guy they hired, because of his great interview, like, who knows if that guy's got a clue? I mean, absolutely I'm worried about Levis being ruined. Quarterbacks that are drafted high in the NFL don't work out for 3 reasons. 1, the team did not evaluate the guy properly. 2, the team ruins him. Or 3, he gets hurt. Those are the reasons why they don't work out. I think they evaluated Levis. I think Levis is a good quarterback. I mean, I think he's got all the potential to be a good quarterback. I think he's got the right attitude. He needs to chill out at the end of games. Like, they need to slow him down when he's up against the clock. But other than that, I think Levis is, right on schedule. But they're going to get this kid killed behind this line. And you talk about, well, he's already done it for 3 games. I said after the second game to TD, I said, Tannehill can't do 15 more of these. And I'm going to tell you right now, what we've seen the last 2 weeks in the Pittsburgh and the Tampa Bay game, I don't think he can do 8 more of those. And I think that's going to get him hurt.
Okay. Well, so the question, so you just said you said the 3 things you said: 1, ruin, and 2, they get hurt. So you're worried that they're going to get him seriously hurt that'll have lasting effects in his career, or that he's going to get hit so much that it's going to affect him mentally?
I think that they're going to ruin him, or I'm worried that they're going to ruin him, because they're either not going to give him good enough coaching, they're not going to give him good enough receivers around him, and they might get him killed with this offensive line. All the above.
I mean, anything's possible. I think the coaching so far seems fine. Tim Kelly, Charles London, there is a track record there.
They're great coaches. Hall of Fame
worried,
coaches.
But no, worried. No, I don't. I mean, all that stuff is possible. But by far the most likely reason that Will Levis won't work out, because the thing is, you're building it. Like you actually said, the Titans ruined Mariota, which is stupid.
I still believe that, and I believe they ruined Vince Young.
That's ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, so
what did you say?
You just want to build an excuse.
What did you say today? What did you say today to Paul about why you think Mariota didn't work out?
I think it's very possible that Mariota's injury at the end of his second year affected him. That's not the Titans ruining him. And if he can, and here's the thing, Jared, that's still on him. Because you got to be able to
It's his fault that his
deal
ankle
with
broke.
league.
If Levis gets hurt behind this line, it's Levis's fault.
But the point is that you have to be able to deal with that stuff. You have to be tough enough to deal with that stuff in this league. Derek Carr broke his foot the same day Mariota did, and he didn't get any worse for it. That's for sure.
Hey guys, we're going to put you out there with 250-pound men running as hard as they can right at you, and they're going to slam into you. And I mean, we're not going to do what all the other teams do and get people in front of you that can actually block you. But you need to be tough and take it. That's not how this league works.
Jared, yeah,
they're going to get them hurt. They're going to ruin them.
Jared, you're building in excuses for people. That's why it's the hardest job, and that's why it's the most important and highest-paying job in American sports. The hardest to find someone. Part of the difficulty of finding someone is finding someone who can also take that crap. Again, you're going to find very few quarterbacks who have careers of any duration in this league who don't get hurt. I mean, you're very few.
But you're going to have a hard time not getting that guy hurt when he's been hit like the sixth most in the league and he's only played 3 games.
Hey, they need to protect him. I agree. But, again, to go back to Caroline's question, I'm not worried because I think he has the mental makeup to be okay and get through it. Now, you get a totally disastrous injury, then that's a different story. But I think you could look at this season and say this could end up being good for him. If he can stand in, and first of all, Hopkins is a good receiver. He has a good receiver.
Good job, Joe. We got to go. More Jared versus Joe on the other side. 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
When you want all the...
Going in and the score. Blast the score. He wrist one, they score.
And don't forget the...
Oh, what a stop. Sliding across to make the save. Backhander, nice stop.
When all you want is... Smashville. We have you covered. Hear every Predators game right here. We are your home for Smashville. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Experience the thrill of gaming glory at Harrah's Casino and Hotel, just a little over 2 hours northwest of Nashville off I-24. Call 1-800-HARRAHS and reserve your room today to indulge in top-tier casino gaming, appetizing dining experiences, and their cutting-edge sports book. As a Caesar Rewards destination, every moment you spend at Harrah's Metropolis earns you points across the entire Caesars empire. It's your time to win with Harrah's Metropolis. Must be 21 or older to gamble. Know when to stop before you start. Gambling problem? Call 1-888-BETS-OFF.
Get a great deal on versatile Kubota equipment today, like Kubota BX and L Series compact tractors, part of our tractor lineup rated #1 in durability and owner experience, Z Series motors, and Sidekick utility vehicles. Stop by your local Kubota dealer today and bring home select L Series equipment for 0 down, 2.99% APR, and up to 84 months, plus save up to $800. Now through December 31st, see us or go to KubotaUSA.com for details. Krebs Kubota, Middle Tennessee's preferred equipment dealer in Columbia, Franklin, and Murfreesboro, and online at KrebsKubota.com.
Calling all sweet tooths. Head to Nashville Toffee Company, a place where rich, chocolatey daydreams are created from a secret family recipe generations in the making. Their toffees and candies are handcrafted in Nashville using all-natural, kosher-certified ingredients. Sweet creamery butter, pure cane sugar, premium roasted nuts, deep rich chocolate, and sea salt. Visit NashvilleToffeeCompany.com or drop by their headquarters on Air Lane Drive for a positively hassle-free shopping experience. Whether you're buying for 1 or 100, Nashville Toffee Company is here to make your holiday gift-giving easy.
Yo, check this out.
Ah, Pourvu. Imagine a wonderland, vast as the eye can see. We're talking a whopping 10,000 square feet, stocked with wine, spirits, and over 1,500 beers from around the globe. And if that's not enough, they've got you covered with a massive horde of ready-to-guzzle cocktails like High Noon.
Well, saddle up, partner. It's Pourvu, the adult equivalent of a candy store. Open from 9 to 9 Monday through Saturday and from 10 to 6 on Sundays, too. Not leaving your sofa during the next big game? No worries, my jersey-wearing couch potato. You can place your orders at porvu.us or download their super snazzy app.
Just picture hockey night. He shoots, he scores, we toast.
We're talking about a good old round of tequila shots, of course.
Tequila!
Porvu has it all. Tequila is always a big hit, just like Uncle Frank at the family parties.
Wine, spirits, beers, mixers, barware, gifts, party supplies, and more.
Curbside pickup at absolutely zero charge, mind you, and home delivery.
Indian Lake Boulevard in Hendersonville, just off Vietnam Vets, exit 7.
Porvu. It's all Frenchy and fancy, meaning for you.
Score!
Stillman & Company always gets reaction, not only from listeners, but for advertisers. This is General Manager Sean Ford. 102.5 The Game listeners love supporting our advertisers. Let us show you how you can be a part of the program. Email me at together@cromwellmedia.com.
This is Stillman & Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Jared Stillman versus Joe Rexroad. Now on Stillman & Company.
On ESPN.
102.5 The Game.
Jared versus Joe is presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville, Caroline.
All right, Jared, I want you to go first for this one. Who would be a better coach for the Titans in 2024? Mike Vrabel or Texans offensive coordinator Bobby Slowick?
Bobby Slowick.
Whoa.
Let me tell you. So, John
Loud.
McClain was on today on Chase and Joe, and they asked him about Bobby Slowick. And Fitz was on earlier, and I said, is there any chance that Bobby Slowick doesn't get a head coaching job? And he said, none. He said, Bobby Slowick will be a head coach. And the thing that John said that stood out to me when talking about Slowick, first of all, Slowick has a defensive background. His dad was a defensive coach, and he was a defensive assistant in Washington under Mike Shanahan. Then when he went to San Francisco, he was a defensive assistant. And then Kyle thought that he was so smart that he could flip him over to offense. And since Mike McDaniel left, Kyle Shanahan's right-hand man was Bobby Slowick. And John McClain said that Kyle Shanahan said the year that he had Slowick with him was the best year he thought they had as an operation. Even better, John noted on Chase and Joe today, than the year that they had Matt Ryan win league MVP and they went to the Super Bowl with the Falcons. So I heard that and immediately was like, whoa. The fact is that what they've done with C.J. Stroud has been phenomenal. And Stroud gets a ton of credit for that. But I think that the entire operation of the Texans has figured out how to take care of the young quarterback, how to help the young quarterback. They've put their money where their mouth is. They went out and traded for Shaq Mason, $12 million guard. They paid George Fant $4 million, which you were unwilling to do when you signed Chris Hubbard. They paid Dalton Schultz. I thought it was brilliant to bring Robert Woods in to be their third receiver, where they've got a young receiver room. And Woods is not expected to replace A.J. Brown, but he's expected to be the third guy and kind of a bastion of consistency for Stroud and the young receivers. I think it's great. I think they've done a fabulous job. And I don't think the Texans, who have been brain dead for the last 6 years, I don't think they rolled out of bed and got smart. But I think they hired somebody who is smart. And I think that's Slowick. And I think where the league is trending is if you've got a good young offensive coach or a good young quarterback, you're going to lose your offensive coordinator unless he's your head coach, because every team is looking for that next guy. Stroud's going to lose Slowick because he's going to go somewhere else. And so I think that I used to believe in the guy who coached the whole team. I don't believe in that anymore. Give me the offensive guy who is your permanent play caller, OC, your Shanahan, and I'll farm out the other side of the ball and put Leslie Frazier or Perry Fuel or Jim Schwartz in charge of that.
Can I ask a question before you answer that question?
Sure.
How can you say that it would be idiotic to fire Mike Vrabel, but then say that Bobby Slowick would be a better coach for this team next year?
Because the common opinion of Mike Vrabel outside of the 615 area code is that he's the best coach and like that we're lucky to have him, which means one of these teams, like the Chargers or the Bills or the Patriots, and in the case of the Chargers and the Bills, they really feel like they're probably a coach away from being, a Super Bowl contender. They might give you something good in return. And so I want the draft picks because I think players ultimately are the most important thing. I think coaching matters. see Denver, where Sean Payton's made a big difference. But I think Slowick, this is a huge opportunity. And if push came to shove, Caroline, and Rand Carthon said to me, as a San Francisco guy who's worked with Slowick for the last handful of years, said Bobby is the man. If Rand Carthon said that to me and nobody wanted to trade Vrabel or Vrabel didn't want to be traded, I think I would fire Vrabel to hire Bobby Slowick.
Yeah, I'd go with the known commodity. Jared is the absolute champion of the unknown is undefeated flavor of the month. And look, Slowick may be great. It looks very good with him as an OC. Looks good coming from the Shanahan tree, but we've already talked about Vrabel. Vrabel's a proven head coach. You got continuity, and I hear what
you
you're
got
saying.
continuity of losing right now.
True, that is true. I mean, if we're going on a 16-game sample size, of Vrabel's second worst coach in the league, you're also. You're saying on the OC, I mean, I do buy that to some extent. If you have the offensive guy, you don't lose the offensive guy. But, the Titans have a succession plan right now, and they've got guys who are working with Will Levis right now. Will Levis has performed well despite missing out of camp, being hurt. He came in ready to go. I think that's mostly credit to him. Just like, to finish my thought from before the break, if Will Levis doesn't work out, mostly because he wasn't good enough. That's far the highest percentage chance of why it won't work out is because Will Levis simply won't be good enough, even though you want to build an excuse in for him about, the Titans ruining him. But he's got the OC and quarterback coach working with him. If by chance, not going to have in this offseason, I would say, but if by chance, next year they turn things around, the offense looks good, Tim Kelly's a commodity, then Charles London is next to slide in there. And, you keep it going that way. So I would, I would stick with Mike Vrabel over the guy who's never been a head coach.
Look, I like Tim Kelly. I think he's actually done a good job and doesn't get any credit for it because the players suck. But this idea that, Tim Kelly is anywhere near, the Shanahan level of play caller, or it's just ridiculous. The Shanahan guys.
I didn't say that. I didn't say the Shanahan, but this is a Shanahan assistant, and let's make sure we acknowledge the difference in offensive roster between the Texans and the Titans this year.
Do you mean the one that the Texans' offense was terrible, and then Bobby Slowick got there, and then in free agency they went out and built a good team?
Well, they did. The roster is not the same as before.
You mean they didn't go get Andre Dillard?
Better, or is it not?
It's significantly better
Exactly.
since Bobby got there. Caroline, quickly, what's next?
All right, Joe, you go first. Should the Predators embrace losing?
Should the Predators themselves? No. God, no. They need to learn how to win. And, if they're just going to this year, first of all, it's not going to be very fun in that building. I mean, the NHL, as we know all too well around here, because the Preds were very mediocre for years and they still were in the playoff race, and they did enough to kind of keep it interesting. It's hard to be atrocious. If you are atrocious, you want to be atrocious in the right year. This is not the right year. So no, the Preds should not embrace losing. I mean, if you mean by that younger or whatever, no, they need to try to win. I mean, they need their superstar goalie to get a better than 900 save percentage. I mean, he's not good right now. He's played poorly. They've made mistakes. They've blown multi-goal leads. They lost a game in which they scored 5 goals. They need to you're still trying to build the culture, one of my favorite sports words, of winning. And Ryan O'Reilly's here for that purpose. You still have some good veteran players. They need to trying to not stink.
So I think the team should try to win every game. I think the fans should embrace it because this team stinks. And, Barry's going to come on and I'm going to be like, how surprised are you about how bad this team is right now? Because they're not very good. And I think we as fans, and I'm talking about myself with this, I think we as fans need to understand that and be okay with that. And this is what people like me asked for when I kept saying, tear it down, tear it down, tear it down, tear it down. They didn't tear it down to the studs, but they tore down a lot, so this is just reality. So as a fan, I'm embracing the tank. The team, try to win every game, get the young guys used to winning, maybe get some excitement around here. But as a fan, I am prepared for the worst here. Caroline, who wins?
I would agree that fans understand what this team signed up for. That it's not always going to be pretty, but the Preds absolutely should try and win every single game that they go out there and play.
I'm with you on fans.
Yeah, right. I should have clarified. The John McClain thing with Amy Adams drunk. I think it's wrong to believe in anyone that much. I mean, even Bill Belichick, he's won 6 Super Bowls. And the Patriots don't believe in him very much, nor should they believe in him very much, because the Patriots are truly awful. Now, it's one thing to say, all right, I believe in you until this happens. I believe in you unless somebody offers me 2 first-round picks and a couple of second-round picks for you. Then I don't really, I believe in the value that you can bring to our draft capital. Thank you very much. But I don't think anyone should believe in a coach so much that it is an absolutely no matter what. So Jared wins this week.
Yes!
Wait, I said it's a no matter what?
I want to know, that I'm not worried about. I want to know whose side are you on the Titans ruining Will Levis, me or Joe?
I mean, I'm absolutely terrified that the Titans are going to ruin Will Levis, and I don't really know what form that comes in. If that's Will Levis is constantly injured because this offensive line is terrible, I mean, I'm worried about that. I'm worried about him getting injured this season. Like, let's say, knock on all the wood, Will Levis tears his ACL on Sunday. Well, then you're without a starting quarterback for the next probably year until mid-season next year. That's
Agreed.
not great for his development. That's not great for this team. So
Agreed.
Of
Caroline,
course I'm nervous about it.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Barry Trotz.
The Billy Jean's boohoo crew.
I got Joe, I love you, but Barry Trotz is
Touché.
going to join us coming up next here on the program. And we are going to talk about the not great start, or I guess the not great road trip and homestand the Predators are having. We'll do that next with Barry Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106 again.
Our voice.
Right now, Tennessee's either the 3rd or 4th best team in the SEC.
Your voice.
This year, they don't have the ability to complete those deep passes.
And what matters to Nashville.
He wants to do at Tennessee what he had dreamed of doing at Oklahoma.
We are 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Preds fans, we are going bigger, bolder, and golder than ever this season in Smashville. Join us for the second gold game of the season as we take on the Chicago Blackhawks this Saturday, November 18th at Bridgestone Arena. Head down early for the Preds Plaza Party presented by Dr. Pepper to enjoy family-friendly activities, giveaways, live music, and more. Plus, everyone in attendance will receive an exclusive gold t-shirt courtesy of Vanderbilt Health as we celebrate Hockey Fights Cancer. Secure your tickets today at NashvillePredators.com. Welcome to Smashville.
You know that feeling you get when your team goes big? You can get that same feeling on Zen Sports. When you sign up for a Zen Sports account, you will receive up to a $1,000 no-danger first wager. That's right. When you place your first bet in Zen Sports, you can be reimbursed for the amount of your first bet up to a $1,000 maximum if the bet loses. No other sportsbook will offer you a premier sports betting experience with 24/7 customer support and faster withdrawals like Zen Sports. Zen Sports. Betting just got better. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 and up and in Tennessee to bet.
Need cash for the holidays or want to be credit card debt free for the new year? Call Loan Pronto today. Their Express Equity line of credit could get you $20, $50, $100,000 in as little as 5 days. Willie Donick here. Listen up. You've got a ton of equity in your home, and Loan Pronto can help turn that equity into cash to put it to use. You can access up to 95% of your home's value. Use the money to pay off all your credit cards or pay off personal loans. Start the home improvement project you've been looking for. You can get the money you need now and still keep your primary mortgage intact, so your 3% rate is protected. Call right now, 615-499-5780. Get the holiday cash you need or pay off all those credit cards. 615-499-5780 or go online at loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
30 Seconds to Mars presents Seasons, the World Tour. Live in Nashville, featuring AFI. With special guests, Poppy and Kenny Hoopla. Ascend Amphitheater, Saturday, August 3rd. Get tickets this Friday at 10 a.m. at livenation.com. The brand new album, It's the End of the World, But It's a Beautiful Day, is available everywhere now. Part of the Journeys concert series. Whether it's college football,
players might end up not going to Alabama or Georgia,
or the NFL,
I think that this team wins the AFC South.
Trevor knows. Join ESPN's Trevor Maddich every Tuesday at 4:30 on Stillman and Company as he gives his opinions on the latest from the gridiron.
I'm going to the team where I can get a ring.
Trevor Maddich brought to you by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, where experience matters, on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, this is Roman Yossi. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Preds tough one last night against the Anaheim Ducks. And we are joined now by Predators General Manager Barry Trotz, brought to you by Gary Force Acura and Porvu, with over 10,000 square feet of wine, spirits, and over 1,500 domestic import and craft beers, with a massive array of ready-to-drink cocktails. Barry, it wasn't the end of the road trip that I necessarily wanted to see, and both games on the homestand have been really tough finishes. I got to start with this. How discouraging has that been, having the 2-goal leads and losing the games and being where you guys are right now in the standings?
Yeah, it is a little bit discouraging. Obviously, I thought to go through the whole road trip, I thought we played quite well in Vancouver. I would say their depth got to us. In Seattle, I thought we deserved to win. I think that's a goaltender steal on Grubauer that night. I thought we played well in Edmonton and got the win. The two games that I was not very pleased with was Calgary. I thought we were going to maybe get a goaltender steal there with Saros, but I didn't like our overall game, and I didn't like our commitment to the hard areas, and also Winnipeg, which ended that trip. So, from that standpoint, I was really not happy with those two games. That the rest I could accept because of the effort and all those things that you look for as a general manager. And then the last two games, I've liked a lot of our game, but we have continued to find ways not to win. Plain and simple. I thought we had a really solid game against Arizona. Arizona's a good hockey team, and I thought we got off to a great start. But it was a little bit loose in some areas, and then having a 2-goal lead after 2 periods, and then losing it in the third, and it's sort of been the stretch here. We get it tied up even when we do get the lead, and the next shift we put the puck over the glass, unintentionally, but at the same time weren't killing any penalties, so they get the win. And then last night, we hold a Ducks team that's playing really, really well. I think they're in Colorado playing Colorado. They're tied with Colorado in points, so they're a good hockey team. And they had 10 shots after 2 periods. We did a great job, and then the first goal they score goes off our shin pad on sort of a nothing play, and then they get 2 in the third, and we're sitting here with no points, and it does get a little bit discouraging. But at the same time, we just had analytics meetings, and the only numbers that count are the numbers on the scoreboard. But our game is showing that we're playing pretty good hockey, other than the 2 games in Winnipeg and Calgary. But we've got nothing to show for it. That's the discouraging part as an athlete and as a player, is that you put in some good efforts. And I always say the hockey gods, when you don't show up, they take one of those games where you think you should win, they take those away. So at the end, it usually evens out. But we've dug ourselves a hole. We got to dig ourselves out, plain and simple. And we've got some key people out, but so does everybody else. So
to that point about the hole, I knew coming in this year that this team wasn't going to be, for instance, what we're seeing with Vegas, in terms of how just dominant they can be. We all knew that. You said it. But I was kind of excited or optimistic that this team was going to be in every single game, which for the most part they have been, and that they were going to win some of them, and that this was going to be kind of one of those roller coaster seasons, but a lot, that maybe this is just me being optimistic, that February, March could give us a little playoff push, and then maybe a little taste of the playoffs where we see some young guys develop. And I'm kind of resigned after the road trip and the 2 games that the Predators have had at home that we've seen, that maybe this team's not going to be able to do that? Do you think it is too early for me to feel that way at this point in the season?
Yeah, I think it is. There's a lot of runway yet, but you got to win hockey games, and we haven't done that. I would say that and this is me being as neutral as I can, and I'm not trying to. I really believe that we should have been 7-7 going into that game last night, not 5-9. I really felt that way. I try to look at it from a realistic standpoint. If I was standing behind the bench, I've given my teams. We've won hockey games, and I've blasted our teams for when we won, and I've been kind to our teams when we've lost, when we played good hockey. And for the most part, we have. But we've made some key mistakes at key times, and I used to have a saying: you got to learn to be comfortable when it's uncomfortable. And we haven't done a good job of that yet. And that could be part of the learning process. New coach, new systems. We're playing faster. We're scoring more goals. Our power play is scoring fairly regular, and it's not at the it's in the middle of the pack of the league. And last couple of years, it's been a little bit on the bottom end of it. But our penalty kill, which has been a pretty good staple, hasn't been as good. So we're playing what I call is whack-a-mole a little bit, like that game where you hit one mole and another pops up. We're doing a little of that right now, and unfortunately the wins aren't coming as easy as we'd like.
Barry, I was watching the Monday Night Football game, and I was watching the Broncos, who last year were terrible, and they went out and paid all that money to bring in Sean Payton, who's probably going to end up in the Hall of Fame one day, and they started the year off, and they were terrible. And now it's November, so they're a couple months in, and they win the game on Monday Night Football, and they're 5-5. And this team that last year was terrible and the beginning of this year was terrible, it's clear that it took some time, but that bringing in the new coach, that it's finally starting to click a little bit. And I think sports fans in general are not interested in allowing things to take time. The reason I bring this up is because I do wonder that some when I listen to Andrew Burnett's postgame comments about getting everybody on the same page or getting the message through to the guys. Do you feel like the transition from the last coach to Andrew, like that right now there's kind of a battle of these guys being able to do what it is that he is trying to get them to do? And I don't mean a battle like they don't want to do it, but just being able to understand what it is that he's asking of them.
Well, I think in anything, and I've coached different teams and different personnels, and the message is the players understand. I sit in the film sessions, and I've talked to players and all that. The trick is, can players perform under pressure? Can they remember the details when it matters most? Especially when you're tired. Can you remember them when you're tired and you're up and down the ice and you've been battling, and the awareness and how fast and can they get it done? And there's a couple of situations last night where real simple read for me, and a player gets anxious instead of hey, we're up by a goal. We'll play this. We'll live to fight another day. And they try to force an issue, and all of a sudden you're on the wrong side of someone, and now you're scrambling, and then the heart rate goes up, and then you can't think. And that's the thing I say: you got to learn to be comfortable when it's uncomfortable. When you got to understand the situation, you got to understand who you're out against, and we're in that transition with some of our players, young and old. That sometimes they're not reading those moments. They are, but a second late. And in this game, if it's a second late, it usually is a chance against or a penalty or a goal. So we're in a little bit of that transition. I think Andrew's done you talk to any of the veteran players, you talk to the young players. They love the fact that they can have some freedom. They're creating some offense. It does take some work. It's a lot easier to back up and angle than it is to pressure and push the offense. So it is a different mindset, and it is a different workload for some players who have played a certain way for a long time. So getting that group to be consistent night in and night out. And I can say I was on the trip, and they one night we'd have line A and B going, and C and D weren't, and then the next night we got a line B and C going, and A's not going. So and a lot of that sometimes is on the road, especially on the road. We have there's an advantage for a young team being at home, is that you can hide some of your deficiencies because you have last change, and some of the matchups are overwhelming for some. On the road, they're not. So we got exposed a little bit on the road, which I can say. And then the other thing I think is that you saw right now when you get a guy like Ryan McDonough not in the lineup, and you have a guy like Luke Shen, who we've seen one period this year, when we needed those going against those big teams, and they're crashing the net, we didn't have the girth and the size back there in those two road games, which I would have liked. And and then also a guy like Ryan McDonough, who's is a really calming influence on the bench, on the ice, when those moments are getting heated up and your heart rate's starting to ramp up and all those things. So we miss that. It's not an excuse. It's just something that we're going to have to learn if we're going to be successful as a team and an organization.
Barry Trotz is with us. I was talking to a football coach a couple weeks ago, and he was telling me about how the way he would coach a young quarterback was he wouldn't get on him for a mistake. He'd say, hey, we're better than that. And when I look at the goaltender right now, and I know he's usually a slow starter, but you and I both know he's good. And so far this year, I do wonder how we feel about the performance that UC Saros is giving right now.
Well, I would say we have the Juice is one of the best goaltenders in National Hockey League, and if you talk to him or his game, and you just look at the analytics, all that, his game is not at the level that we expect the Juice. And he is someone who stole hockey games, and he will continue to do that. And he's no different than he has the most pressure of any player in our hockey team, because in the last number of years he's been the backbone. Has stolen. I think we had the conversation between him and Kevin Lankin, and they stole 14 games last year. Goalie steals where analytically you were dominated, but the goalie stood in his head. And you think about all the shots that he got last year. Most games were averaging 40, 45 shots a game. This year, 2 periods. It's even more difficult sometimes for a goaltender when he's got, after 2 periods, he's sitting there with 10 shots on net. He's always been a busy goalie. Now he's not as busy because we're doing a really good job in front of him, in terms of limiting and breaking out pucks and doing those things. And all of a sudden, 2 periods go by, and now the other team's on the power play to start the third period. All you've seen is 10 shots in the whole game. It's a different mentality for him. So I've seen this with Pecorine. I've seen it with almost all the goaltenders. I've gone to some clubs that couldn't keep it out of their net, and I had to tighten things up. And all of a sudden, the goalie who was used to 45 is getting 10. There was some growing pains. So I think Juice is going through that. But I'll tell you what, there's not a better person and a better professional than Juice, and we're gonna be riding him for a while if we're gonna get back in this race.
Last one for you, Barry. So I know that you have talked about, right now our focus, we watch the games, it's just the Predators, but we've talked about the young kids and how you want them to cook in the minors and not be microwaved in the pros. What have you seen so far, just whether it's film or reports from the coaches or things about kind of the prospects that you do feel like are going to be big contributors to this organization in the future?
Well, I think, with our team, you look at a guy like Luke Evangelista, he's got 9 points. He's in the top 4 or 5 young players, rookies in the rookie race this year. He's been fairly consistent. I would say, I didn't, as a general manager, I think he's had more to his game than last night. But he's been a really good player for us. Obviously Tommy Novak is not a rookie, but I consider him a young player, being in his second year. We've lost him, but he's had a good start. He's kept his numbers up from last year. Some of this analytics stuff was saying that it'd be hard to sustain, and he's done a great job of sustaining that. You look at a guy like Delgado coming in; he did a really good job. Spencer Stastny, who practiced today, looked great. Down in the minors, they because of the American Hockey League, they're a few games behind us. They're only 7 or 8 games deep, and they get their games spread out a little bit. But you're seeing a guy like Schaefer that in the Ekholm trade is really being impressive. Kemmel is playing well, not scoring at the rate that that we expected maybe at this point. But I know that like any goal scorer, they're going to score. Askarov had a good start, got hurt, doing quite well. Sveshkov's been really a consistent player for them down there, starting to get his North American game under his feet. So those things are all coming, but we'll have to be patient with them. That is part of the process. It's sometimes, as we talk, Jared, and to people I've talked to in terms of the fans, that there's going to be a little bit of pain, some growing. That's as much as it pains. That's sort of the great thing about this game is it's the journey that you have to go through, and sometimes having this adversity or these tough stretches where you got to figure it out and you got to get stronger from it and you become better pros. So it's all part of the process. Lord, I wish we'd have a few more wins under our belt, but we don't. So we've got to find a way to chip away at it. I always took the theory you want to win every game, but it's really not a realistic thing. So you got to chip away, get 4 points in every 3 games, and you do that for a few weeks, and then all of a sudden you find yourself on even ground and back in the race. So we just got to focus on the next game as the most important game of the season, to get some points and move forward.
Barry, good luck against Chicago on Saturday. Thanks for doing this as always.
All right, take care.
Yep, Barry Trotz, Predators general manager, joining us as he does every week. And again, they'll get you set for Chicago, and they will have the insight on Smashville Live with UC Soros and Kevin Lankinen. That is coming up right after this, right here, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Vanderbilt basketball